my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon.
Universal's message to black men. Brothers, we're living in the best time to be alive. Despite what they say, this is not the worst era. This is our era, a time where knowledge is accessible, opportunities are global, and your growth is your responsibility. Yes, there are real barriers, but there are also real tools, real mentors, real chances. And the truth is, no one is coming to save you. You are the leader you've been waiting for. Stop making excuses. Stop romanticizing struggle. Stop blaming systems that were never designed to carry your greatness. You're not a victim. You're a vessel of legacy, strength, and divine potential. It's time to level up in every area. Personally, heal your wounds, forgive yourself, get in shape, mentally and physically. Professionally, build skills, network, learn how to talk money without shrinking your worth. Spiritually, reconnect, seek wisdom, walk in purpose, not just in pressure. You don't need permission, you need commitment. This is your time, this is your world. Be the man your bloodline prayed for. Universal Jones. You weren't born to merely survive. You were chosen to transform everything you touch.
Absolutely. Greetings, salutations, all that good stuff. It is Brandon, aka Universal Jones, in these YouTube streets. I am back. Get the camera right. Salute and welcome back to the channel. We're going to have a conversation on men's mental health. We're going to open up the panel tonight. We'll see who, if any of my internet friends or real life friends for that matter, stop by and would like to chat. This will not be a 5-hour stream. We're going to be here for just a little bit of time tonight, but we're definitely going to get it cracking. Salute to Lionel in the building. Lionel, shout out to you. I'm going to go ahead and give you a wrench, sir, at some point. Let me get that going for you, sir. Make you a nice mod over here at the By Brandon Jones channel. All right. So it is Men's Mental Health Month. Men's Mental Health Month. And I don't see a lot of men talking about mental health. I see a lot of other things. I'm not even going to talk about what those things are. Other things that are happening. And a few people reached out and said, yo, B, can you talk about mental health? Hey, can you share some information, being a therapist and all that good stuff? And I've already been working on some stuff in the background. For some of you who've been around for quite some time, you know that I've been a writer for years, over 10 years, writing articles for newspapers, nationally and locally. And more recently, I've been working on a few books. And one of the books is around men and personal development, and I guess you could say mental health as well. That book is going to be called Finish First. I need this. The subtitle hasn't been quite figured out just yet, but I've been working on a book for men to get better. And the reason for that is a lot of my work, as many folks know, have been with adolescents. A lot of those adolescents have been Black males. And Black males have gone through a pretty interesting transition over the last few years. And one of those transitions is this focus around Black males' mental health. Now, this show's about all men and mental health. We will obviously have some conversations about Black men because I am a Black man. I had to get my camera stop shaking. I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to figure out some stabilization there. But so I am a Black man. So obviously, you know, we're going to talk about Black men on some level, but really we're going to talk about all men's mental health. So if you're not a Black man, you're definitely invited on the panel this evening to join in and to share. Also, if you don't have a phallus and you're considered a woman, you're invited on the panel as well. I was talking to one of my lady friends earlier. She said she was going to stop by, but she said she wasn't going to hop on the panel. And I said, no, you absolutely can hop on the panel. You like Black men, obviously, so you can come on and share your perspective as well. So if you are a lady listening, you can definitely join the conversation as well. I will say this. If you are a woman and you do want to join the conversation and hop on the panel, I would highly recommend that you ask some questions. And I say that because I'm going to show a video, and it kind of disturbs me because this is a trend that I've noticed in my own industry, is when you're talking about men's health, mental or physical health, hell, even men's spiritual health to a certain extent, they always find women experts to talk about it. It almost never fails. And I found it was literally one of the first videos I found when I filtered my search on YouTube. to see who's talking about mental health on news channels, because news clips are, for the most part, you don't get dinged on YouTube for showing news clips. And boy, I've seen a lot of women talking about men's mental health. That is an issue, man. I don't know if that's on men's end or that's just where we are. I understand the landscape of the mental health world. Most practitioners are women, but that is a problem when you can't even find a man to talk about men's mental health. That's a big issue. So I'm gonna show a clip on that. Let that cat out the bag early. Not that I hate women. I don't have a problem with women, nothing like that. But it is concerning because if we were talking about women's mental health, they would never have a man come up there and talk exclusively by himself. He may be joined by a few other women, but he ain't gonna be by himself talking about no women's mental health. All right, let me turn off my notifications. So that's gonna happen all night. You'll never have a panel of men, a professional panel on news or some sort of programming, like let's say Vice or something of that nature, one of these well-polished outlets, have all men talking about women's mental health. You never do it, but they will do that when it comes to men, especially with black men. And I think that is the wrong way to go. But I'm going to share some clips and respond to some clips as I welcome some folks in. I have not gone live on my channel in quite some time, so I don't know how many people are going to pop on in here. I do know this. Salute to you if you're a new subscriber. My subs have gone up pretty significantly, even though I have been gone. My Mr. Nearly Fuller Jr. video did really well. It's the best performing video I've done, over 2,000 views on that one. So salute to that. I'm probably going to put out some more Nearly Fuller content at some point. But, I'm going to be back into content creation. I haven't been gone per se. I've been gone on my own channel, but I've been in these YouTube streets on other people's platforms. I've been on a morning show over at the Urban Landlord, John Galt. Salute to the team over there. I've been on Lolo's panel. For those of you who don't know Lo, you'll be introduced to her at some point, I'm pretty sure. Riding High with Lo. Salute to Lo. And I've been around. I've been on other people's panels as well, but I haven't been on my own channel. And part of me being absent is motivation. I'm not gonna lie to you. Motivation has been part of it. It's like sometimes I feel like I don't have anything to talk about that I haven't talked about. Sometimes I overthink and I'm like, okay, how would I approach this? But honestly, what I need to do is just hit the record button and hop on and just say what I need to say and dip out. So I do plan on utilizing this summer a lot better and being on my channel a lot more. Expect a lot of pre-recorded videos from me. I'm going to do a lot of pre-records and responses. I'm going to do a lot of response videos to news clips and things of that nature. I'm going to try to do an open panel at least twice a month. But what I really want to do, if all things aligned, and if I had like a producer, somebody that can help me out, I would love to create a radio show style like podcast where people call in on their phone. Now, I'll probably still use StreamYard. You can hop on the panel. But I have a call-in line, sort of what Star does. For folks who aren't familiar with Troy Terrain, Star, he does the Star Report. Very successful YouTuber, very successful radio personality, probably top 10 all time in radio history. Star, I like how he does his show, and he's starting to even lean into like the StreamYard type of thing himself. But for years, he just did the radio style show. I think that works very effectively. Get people in, get people out. To be honest with you, I think the massive panels are starting to wind down. I think they had their time on YouTube and they're starting to die out. And a lot of that's because people don't know how to create content. It's just a bunch of people arguing, talking about sex and relationships and racism every fucking day. It is annoying. And I want to get into a different lane and create some content, have some good conversations, but not have 10 people on a panel, most of them with avatars that are not themselves, talking about absolutely fucking nothing. And yes, I am going to be using foul language on this channel. So, but my subs have gone up. Like I said, I'm gonna be back. So hopefully I'll hit 100K or not 100K. I want to hit 100K. Hopefully I hit 1,000 at some point as I keep this thing rolling. But let me share a couple things. So I've been, creating content in the background, writing a couple books, doing a couple things. And one of the things that I've gotten into has been AI. And if you have not been using AI, you are behind. I'm talking about in your personal life, any professional life that you have going on, especially content creation. You need to be using AI. AI is your pal. It is your friend. It is attached to your hip. It is. I'm not even gonna say it's going to be. It is just as important as a cell phone at this point. If you're not using it, you're asleep. Like, you have to use AI. Like, you just have to. And When it comes to brainstorming and thinking of ideas or connecting concepts, AI is a fascinating partner in doing that. So I've been utilizing a lot of AI lately, and I created a couple of videos. I'm going to show some of those to get things going. And then I'm going to show a clip. I'm going to respond to probably about 2 news clips, and then I'll drop the link for anybody who wants to come up and chat. But let me share with you all. I don't even know if I uploaded both my videos. I think I only uploaded the message. Yeah, I only uploaded the message. All right, so I'll wait. I'll show one of these news clips and respond, and then I'll upload the other video clips. So where do I want to start? Do I want to start with black boy joy? Nah, I'll start with suicidality. So, a couple things that are important for us to know. Said finally some testosterone stream. Let's go. We'll see. We'll see how much testosterone we get on the stream. So, couple things about mental health that is important for folks to understand, especially when it comes to men. The way that men process our emotions and deal with our mental health is different than women, and we should never cross those things to each other. Also, the way that children deal with their mental and emotional health is different than adults. But for some reason, when we have these conversations, probably because you don't have professionals talking about it, we just blend all this stuff together. We need to understand these in the proper frame. Men deal with their emotions a specific way. Women deal with their emotions a specific way as well. It's a part of our nature. It's a part of our frame. It's who we are. It's how we are. It's not wrong or right. It is what it is. And we have to understand that when we're approaching this. And when it comes to men, and men, quote unquote, dealing with our mental health and emotions, what has happened is an effeminization of how to do that. I think the reason for that is because most of the folks who are in this profession, therapy, psychologists to a certain extent, are women. Most therapists are women. So since most therapists are women, even though most of the historical psychological frameworks we use are from men, it has been softened. And I'm saying that because if you go back and you read these books that were written 80, 100 years ago around psychology, that stuff wasn't soft. They were hardcore. They were just giving it to you raw. And that's not what we get today. We get fluffy unicorns and all these stuff that doesn't work for everybody. Let me just say it that way. It doesn't work for everybody. But that's not how original psychology and mental health was done. It was just like rugged, like straight to the point, graphic, all that. Honestly, I think we need to get back to some of that because those people were getting to the roots, the deeper roots of what's going on. What's happening now is a bunch of enabling behaviors. And if we're going to continue to enable folks' behaviors, no one's going to get well. Right now, we have what's considered to be an epidemic of mental health. We're in a mental health crisis. The United States Surgeon General, the previous United States Surgeon General, had 3 different white papers or special reports that came out over the last 4 years. The first one was on children's mental health. They said children and adolescents were in a mental health crisis. That went viral for folks who are in the social service, education, mental health world, even pediatricians. They probably probably chewed on that a little too much. Without really having a full scope to what happened. So now we have children who are in a mental health crisis. The second one that came out was around the digital divide and how the internet and social media is contributing to the mental and emotional health of people, mainly children. They focused on children a lot in that report as well. And then the third one was on parental stress. And what they were saying was that parents are stressed out more than ever. So that was 3 reports came out over a 3-year span. It was 2021 to 2024, where these 3 reports came out. These are significant reports. If you want them, feel free to just hit me up. I'll send them over to you pretty easy. You can just Google them as well. You can Google and download them for free. But so these reports come out, and the mental health, the education, the healthcare world, the social service world goes crazy. Okay, we have all these kids who are in a mental health crisis. We have this social media that's unstoppable, that's contributing to the mental well-being or the lack thereof of people. And then we have the parents are all stressed out. So if all those things are true, we're doomed. Like we're screwed, right? Because you have everybody who's dealing with the mental health crisis. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's dealing with something. And I think we've gotten to a point in time in history where we're so fragile as people that every damn thing that happens is a mental health problem. And it isn't. Like some people just need to understand that they need to accept some of the adversity that goes on in life and keep pushing. But we've created this space where you have to, have a meltdown or a panic attack just because something doesn't go your way or something is not right. Now, I say this to not downplay mental health because I'm going to have a real mental health conversation tonight. And this is an issue. Like we cannot operate in this way. If everybody has a mental health struggle, then there is no mental health struggle because now we're just at a norm. Everybody's effed up. And I don't think that that's true. I think that people have lost the ability to have fortitude. People have lost the ability to have what true resilience is. And people have lost the ability to take a L, man. It's okay to lose in life sometimes. Sometimes your best learning opportunities is when you fail. And for some reason, I have some ideas why we've gotten to a point in society where taking an L is not acceptable, even with kids. Participation trophies are all over the place. I don't accept those with my kids. You come home, you lost. I don't want to hear nothing like you did. Yeah, you did a good job, but you took an L. Like I just let it go, right? Yeah. So yeah, crisis. Exactly, Lionel. Thank you. Crisis is infinite on Earths, on infinite Earths. Yes. Crisis is inevitable. It's a part of life. You're going to go through crisis. You're going to have adversity. You're going to have struggles, and it is what it is. And you just got to move on. You got to accept it and move on. But in this therapeutic world, we've gotten to a place of trying to placate to people's emotions and give people puppy dolls and fluffy things and rainbows, where it's to a point where you don't need that. Like it's okay to say, you lost or you got hurt or this thing happened to you. Now let's figure out a way for you to keep moving forward on your journey. But there is real mental health out there too. It's not all fluff. There are really people out here struggling, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first clip I'm going to show is on suicide. Now, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube or not, but I am going to say it because I'm a professional. And if you want to check my record, you can. So we're going to talk about suicide. And it's important to understand a couple things. There's a difference between suicide, self-harm, and suicidal ideation. A lot of people don't understand this, but it's very important to understand this when we talk about suicide. So let's start with suicidal ideation. Suicidal ideation is when you have thoughts of committing suicide. Thoughts of committing suicide, but you don't have a plan, right? And even though you have thoughts, it should be considered serious. You should, if somebody tells you they're thinking about it, you should take it very serious. But it doesn't mean that they're actually going to do it. It doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. It just means that they're assuming that their time here on earth is something that they don't want to deal with at the moment. And that's okay. Some people get to that point in time where they do need some intervention. They need some support. They need some love. They need some course correction because things are not going well. But it doesn't mean that they're automatically going to take themselves out. So that's suicidal ideation. Thought, no action. A suicide attempt. No, sorry. A self-harm. Self-harm. Let's go to self-harm. Self-harm is when you are intentionally causing harm to your own personal state, your own body. It can look like cutting, biting, pulling your hair out. It can look like pinching or poking yourself. This is something that, has hit close to home for myself. I've had family members who've self-harmed. I've had clients. One of my more interesting self-harm clients was this young lady. She was a Caucasian girl. She was a junior in high school when she was my client. And her version of self-harm was she would slit the inside web of her hand. She would slit that with tags from clothes. So she would go to like Target or Walmart, pop tags off of clothes, pocket them, and then she would walk around like at school or in the community. She played softball too. She'll play softball and she would just take it out of her pocket and just slowly cut herself. And what people do when they self-harm like that is that they're just looking for that instant gratification, that release. They're trying to feel something because usually, they're at a point in time in life where things are very numb. So that self-harm kind of gives them, not to get too graphic, but it kind of gives them kind of an orgasmic type of feel. Like they feel something interesting. They feel something that they normally don't feel. This can be a symptom of anxiety. It can be due to attachment issues, etc. Also, you'll see a lot of people who they might not start self-harming to that extent, but they'll show signs that their anxiety is high and they'll get to it, like nail biting, lip biting, stuff like that. And then they'll get to a point where that doesn't do the trick anymore. and they're looking for something else to help, calm or curb that anxiety. So that's what self-harm is. There are some interesting self-harms as well. I've seen people use ice to like burn themselves. People will pull their hair out, pick themselves, like there's all types of stuff. But usually it's to a point where there's a level of pain. So level of pain to it. People will bite the insides of their lip. That's another one too, where they intentionally bite the insides of their lip to feel to just have a release. So yeah, that's self-harm. And then the next thing is obviously the big S, right? Suicide. So suicide is there's attempts and then there's actual suicide. So suicide attempts when it's not successful, and being suicide is when it's a successful attempt to take someone's life. And quiet as it's kept, suicide is on the rise across the board. The group that is having the highest increase in activity are teenage girls, which should say a lot. Also, women, and this is still true to this day, women attempt more than men do, but men have a higher fatality rate than women because of the methodology. Women are more likely to strangle themselves or poison themselves, where men are more likely to use something that's a little bit more fatal, like a weapon or a firearm. So men are more willing to take themselves out a lot quicker than women are. So, but it's happening. Like, people are doing this. Men are doing this all the time. And I'm going to show a clip that's going to talk a little bit about this here in a moment. All right. If there's any questions from folks in the chat, feel free to throw them in. I will answer them. I will open. I'm going to kick us off with a couple of videos. The first video is this one on male suicidality.
Kill themselves have no evidence of up to 60% of men who kill themselves have no evidence of mental illness. So I think one of the biggest tragedies that we're perpetrating right now, potentially, is that when we look at male suicide, we are assuming that this is a pathology of the mind. This person is sick, instead of understanding that it's possible that half of the men who kill themselves or more don't kill themselves because they're ill. They kill themselves because they're genuinely in a position where death is the only way out. If we assume it's mental illness, we don't try to fix the problems that are pushing them towards suicide. Really, really scary thing that's going on. And I'm not saying that mental illness does not lead to suicide and people shouldn't get therapy and things like that. So when I have a patient who's in a traumatic and abusive relationship and they're suicidal, therapy may help them some with the suicide, but the most important thing I can do for that person's suicidality is to help them build a life where they're no longer abused. It's to change something in their life, not to change them. Up to 60% of men who kill themselves have no evidence of mental illness. So I think one of the biggest tragedies that we're perpetrating right now, potentially, is that when we look at male suicide, we are assuming that this is a pathology of the mind. This person is sick, instead of understanding that it's possible that half of the men who kill themselves or more don't kill themselves because they're ill. They kill themselves because they're genuinely in a position where death is the only way out. If we assume it's mental illness, we don't.
And that's where I wanted to stop it right there. Most men who get to this point of saying it's a wrap are doing it because they are in a position where they feel like there's no way out. It's a very serious thing. Also, 60% of men, more than half, take themselves out with no sign of an actual mental illness. So this says a lot about the struggles that men have, period. Most men, we know, we don't talk about our issues. And when we do talk about it, we do a very surface level. A lot of us use humor. We allude to things. We use analogies. We don't straight up say, I'm fucking depressed. I need help. Like, we don't talk like that. We might have say, it is what it is, man. I'm just trying to maintain one day at a time. Like, we have all these phrases to let other people know, like, shit ain't going right, but we don't necessarily like say like shit ain't going right. And where I'm from Minnesota, Midwest, Northern Midwest, we have a very what's called Minnesota nice culture. It's influenced by a lot of Swedish and Lutheran culture. And for our Minnesota nice culture, one thing about it is we do not we tell what's called half truths. We don't tell the full extent of what's going on. So it's even more complex based on just a regional cultural thing for a lot of men in the state that I live in, because you might be having the worst time of your life. Hell, I'll use myself as an example here in a moment. But let's say like you just lost your job, you have a failed relationship, your kids don't want to talk to you, you might be broke. Like there's all these things that are happening. And you'll see somebody that you know that you actually trust. It may be your barber, it may be your brother, it might be somebody you play cards with, your best friend, and they're like, man, what's going on with you, Brandon? How's everything going? And I'll say something like, oh, it's all good. I'm straight. It's all good. You know, maintain it. The phrase I always use is I'm maintaining. If I say I'm maintaining, that means shit ain't right. I'm just like, I'm maintaining. I'm in, doing the best I can do, maintaining. But we have these phrases that allude to like everything's not good, but we're not saying that things are bad. And, I think that is part of the issue as well, is we don't know how to communicate when things are wrong. And we don't know how to support each other when it is communicated. And going to therapy always doesn't feel like a good space to do those things for various different reasons. But we do have to create a language around support one another and how to do that as best as possible. So yeah, but all men don't get to this level of, suicide, but it is something that's important for us to cover and understand because hell, people are taking themselves out. Like I said, I'll use myself as an example. So I've been very open about this. I got a divorce almost a year ago, and that was very difficult. It was very difficult. Prior to the divorce, I went through about 8 months of hell in my marriage. I'll be very, very honest about that. It was hell. It was to the point where, we were passing ships in the night. Like we were living in this house and we weren't even talking to each other. At one point, I don't even remember when this took place. It might have been like, everything went south November of 23, and the divorce was final in July of 24. So I think in February of 24, we had came to an agreement to do rotations in the bedroom. So like she'll take the room on these days, I'll take the room on these days. Like we were switching out. And I was actually sleeping on this couch right behind me, and the master bedroom is that door right there. So we literally like not even 10 feet away from each other. That's how bad it was. Well, in order to get to the bedroom, you would have to pass me or her. And she wouldn't sleep on this couch. She would sleep downstairs, or she would go to her dad's or whatever. Like, it was crazy. But what ended up what was really a struggle for myself at that time was I seen my family falling apart, right? I seen everything that I built and really my public image. I was faced with my own ego. A lot of you guys don't know this, but locally, I have some clout. I'm not a celebrity, but like people know who I am, and they know my family. Like I've been in Netflix, I've been in newspapers, I've been on the news many times. Like I'm kind of a high up in my field, so I get some notoriety. And one thing that happened that really blows my mind is I had my family in NPR. So if you know NPR, they have various different outlets in different cities, and Minnesota has our own version, NPR. And I've been on that platform. It's a radio and newspaper outlet. And that's like it is the biggest platform in Minnesota when it comes to media. And I've been on NPR probably maybe 6 to 8 times. And NPR reached out to me to do a feature on my family and me. And I did it, and it's in the newspaper. I might show a photo of it at some point. So at the early part of my marriage falling apart, NPR reaches out to me to put my family in the newspaper, and it's a whole spread of us in this media outlet, and I can't force her, but I had to like coerce my ex-wife into actually being a part of it. And you can see the tension in the photo. Oh, I can see the tension in the photos because she's not really in them. It's like me and the kids, and then she's kind of in the background and stuff. It is very fascinating. But what kills me about this, and why I'm telling you this, is I had my family in freaking NPR at the beginning of the year and was divorced 6 months later. Like that shit's crazy. But a lot of my identity was around being this family man, the black male therapist, pretty much rags to riches type of story. I come from absolutely nothing, WIC, food stamps, and Section 8 to, upper middle class living for the most part. And, my life was kind of like a Black Cosby type of thing. Like my wife, she had a pretty good job until she became a stay-at-home mom for several years. Like we were doing all the things that people would say you should do as far as the American dream. right? And Black folks specifically would say things to me like, "Oh man, like you made," like they would always give me a hat tip and like, "Man, you made it, like you did it, like you guys are like the Cosbys." And a lot of people would say like, "You guys are relationship goals and stuff like that." Like it was a thing, it was a thing. And when it started to crumble, I was like, "Man, I'm letting the community down. Like I can't maintain my own marriage." Everything that I built, my whole career, my public image was around being this dad and husband and mental health guy. And then like the thing that I built my whole career on was the thing that decimated. Like it was over. And that was crazy. And as I was going through this, I had to like reframe my mindset because I understood what happens to a lot of men when they get divorced is that they crash out. And I remember telling myself, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know it was before my wife had asked for the divorce because I kind of felt it coming. And I knew I was like, okay, if it does happen, I can't lose my mental health. I got to figure it out. And then I just started going into a deep dive. I started reading blogs and some Facebook groups around divorced men. And I just seen a void of men, like men just spiraling, man. People just going through a void. And I was like, okay, this can't be me. So I had to rediscover who I'm going to be once this thing happens. And eventually it ended up happening. And I'll be honest with you, I probably had the first day when my ex-wife left and it was just me in this big old house by myself. And she took the kids because she wanted the kids to stay with her at her new place for the first night. And I remember when I woke up that day and I didn't have anything to do. It was a Sunday. It was a few days after my birthday. And I remember sitting on my couch like, okay, I can sit here and be depressed, drink myself to death, or I can get up, get out in this world and refigure out who I am. And I got my ass up and I got in the car. I didn't even know where I was going to go. I just started driving and I figured it out. You know, I stopped somewhere, grabbed some stuff and just like, you know, start thinking, okay, what do I want to do? And I said, I need to get some hobbies. And from that moment, I started developing hobbies, started working out again, losing a lot of weight, things of that nature, because I didn't want to lose myself. And I know a lot of men do. And I never wanted to be that dude who got divorced and then just crashed all the way out. So, you know, to me, I think a lot of men get lost in that. And I didn't want to ever get to this point where I didn't show any signs of mental struggles or mental health issues, but I didn't want to get to a point where I was suicidal either. So yeah, that's a little bit about your good boy Universal Jones and the things that I've gone through not even that long ago. It can hit all of us at any given time, but we have to be attuned and we have to be able to attune to who we are, what we want. And we have to have the fortitude, the balls to do something about it. And, you know, I try to model what I preach as best as possible. So it is Men's Mental Health Month. I did drop the link. If anybody does want to hop on the panel, feel free. I'm going to show another video on men's mental health, and we're going to continue this conversation. So here's the next one. I think this is the news. Is this the news clip with the lady? Yeah. This is the news clip with the lady. Speak. What you thinking about, Speak? Come on. What's the thought bubble? Ask the question. I'm an open book. Ask the question. All right. I'm going to show this news clip with the woman talking about mental health. Now, she's going to share some good information, so I'm not hating. But it does bother me when we want to talk about mental health, and then we always just find a woman to do it. It's just like, what are we doing? Because you would never see this in reverse. You would never see this in the reverse. So here's a news clip. This is from 10 days ago from Detroit Fox 2. Addressing men's mental health and Men's Mental Health Month.
It is a Mental Health Monday. It is a Men's Mental Health Monday. We're working to raise awareness about the struggles men face when it comes to their mental well-being. Joining us now, the people expert, Dr. Sabrina Jackson. How are you, Dr. Sabrina, on a beautiful sunshiny day like today?
I brought the sunshine in.
I think you did.
I did. I love the sun. I love all of that. So just when I wake up, I think about what can I wear this bright?
I think you achieved that
Did
goal.
I achieve it today?
Absolutely.
Well, we need to talk about June is Mental Health Awareness Month for men. Mm-hmm. And so men's mental health is a little challenging. One is that even though men may be depressed, they don't report it. They don't talk about it. And so generally, even though men are depressed and they have anxiety, women report it more. However, men commit suicide successfully more.
It's an incredible statistic. Dr. Sabrina, for so long, it has been taboo for any man to talk about any sort of mental health struggle. The history of that is a lot to combat, but there are more and more people make it the norm. And how important is that?
We have to normalize it. I remember years ago, we did a segment talking about the benefits of crying. And you said, well, isn't that just for women?
Did I say that?
Yes, you said that.
I have grown. I have personally grown since
and
that
my
time.
response was, if God didn't want men to cry, you wouldn't have tear ducts. Because God could have made men without tear ducts. However, because men have tear ducts, crying is something that can happen for men as well as women. And so men are actually more often substance users.
Yes.
Because that's a way of coping.
I don't think that's true. I do not think that's true. I think that both genders use substances probably at a similar rate, especially when things like what she's talking about, like depression, set in. Women drink so much wine. Let's not get confused. Yeah, men drink beer, alcohol, etc. But I think it's probably more 50-50 than anything. And I can do some research and find it out. I don't think men use more substances than women do. I'm calling a bluff on that one.
For men. And then also lower rates of them going to seek help. And so there are so many things that we are seeing that I think is shining a light for men. One of the things is that there's many shows now that people are watching, very popular shows that show men getting help.
Yeah.
Like The Shy is one of my favorite shows.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Another thing you're going to see when we talk about men and mental health, I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I was going to talk about this in another video. Well, I guess I said this already. The feminization of men. Like, we're starting off with crying. Now she's about to talk about The Shy. If anyone's seen The Shy, there's some questionable male figures in that show, like most shows. Anybody, if you've seen The Shy, put it in the comments. If you're watching this later, if you're in the chat, go ahead and throw it in there. But The Shy is a very interesting show. For many reasons. Lionel, if you're ready, I'm going to bring you up. You don't have to be cammed up if you don't want to. It's up to you. All right. I'm going to bring you up, Lionel. What's up, Lionel?
Happy Thursday, man.
Happy Thursday. Salute. Salute to the Sugverse. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I like the show so far, man.
Good. Good. Any thoughts on anything that I've said so far or this video so far? She's about to get in. Well, let me ask you this question first. This is a yes or no. Have you seen The Shy before? The show The Shy on Showtime? Okay. All right. So any thoughts on anything that I've said or anything that this woman has shared on mental health just yet?
Not yet. I'm actually taking a lot of what you're saying in because it's been very interesting.
Okay.
So I got to let it simmer before I really go into it.
All right. Sounds good. Anytime you want to hop in, just say pause the video or just start talking.
I got you.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna continue this because I think I know where she's going with this, but I don't know. I didn't watch this full clip yet.
But The Shy has 2 seasons ago started with all the men coming together and just talking about their issues with each other, and one listening and then just saying, how can I help you with that?
Well, even, you think back to shows and the importance of shows in normalizing this. Even 25 years ago when Tony Soprano was talking to a therapist, it was like a big hush-hush kind of thing.
Yes, he didn't want anybody to know he was going, but he needed it. And so I don't care what area of life that you're in. I always say everyone needs someone. Everyone needs someone to talk to, and talking is okay.
How do you break through that minutia of, I'm a manly man, I'm tough, I can do it, I can get through anything? How do you break through that to get?
Well, I think the first thing is that men should just say to themselves that it's okay that I'm not okay, and to own what they're feeling and what's going on with them. Because if you've suffered a loss, it's impacting you. And the loss may be a loss that it may not be just a person. It may be a routine or a job or a house or a car. Men love their cars. Oh my God.
Yeah, we do.
I went to a car show this weekend. It was amazing. But we need to normalize that it's okay to not be okay. What's not okay is when you keep it stuffed inside, because it will then attack your physical as well as your mental health. So that's important. But then seek out resources. Right now, we have a lot of men who are coming out with books talking about crying, talking about getting help. Just locally, we have Jason Wilson. Shout out to Jason Wilson, who's an incredible author who's doing.
Is it a lot of men?
I don't think so.
I had to think about that. I'm gonna look that up, but I'm curious about that.
It's not. Couple things that are wrong with what I think she's saying, and this is why I have an issue when they don't have men to talk about men. We can't lose, and I'm not being misogynistic because I know I'm going to get that. Salute to Ash Sharp. Salute to you. I'm glad that you're here. It has been too long. I hope all is well with you. This is one of my issues with when we don't have men. At least have at least one man accompany her. Now, I was while we were watching the clip, I was doing some side research. It looks like she does this Mental Health Mondays thing on this news channel all the time. But they should have invited another man on here to share some thoughts too, man. Like, this is problematic for several reasons, Lionel. One, and I'm going there. She has the mammy archetype. Okay.
I'm looking at her.
And you probably noticed it before I even said anything.
I'm looking at her.
She's got the Miss Butterworth shape. She's got the dreads. She's older, which does play a role. Big mama.
Yeah.
Right. She's got the loud, flamboyant personality. That is significant for several reasons when it comes to black men, because a lot of times that's who black men have taken a lot of authority from in the first place. So her being even invited to have this conversation without another man is problematic to me, because it reinforces part of the reason why men don't talk about mental health in the first damn place, is because we've been cultivated by most of black men, for the most part, have been cultivated by our women more than the men. This is why we don't talk about it. And what she's talking about is it's like surface, right? We like our cars, we need to cry. It's like, we need to learn how to talk. Like, that's not dealing with your mental health, man. Dealing with your mental health is like, you need to be real with yourself. At the end of the day, you need to be, yeah, talking to people is good. But if you're not willing to look in that mirror and be honest with yourself, no matter what type of therapy you do, it's not going to work. So anyway, I can go off on a tangent, but
so
obviously this bothers me. Go ahead.
When you listen to, okay, I'm not even going to use me exactly, but I'm going to use a string of different guys I've talked to.
Yep.
A lot of things that they say is essentially, if your mom didn't die, if your sister didn't die, you shouldn't cry. They have been given stipulations on when they can use their emotions around the women. And if you have any type of emotions that aren't simply you're prideful or aggressive, then there's a weakness there. And it's like, how can I expect to follow this person if you're crumbling? And that may not be the case, but they've created this metric of stipulations where it's basically like, well, damn, then how can I be me around you? You can be you around me, but I can't be me around you. And so I'm in a workforce with a lot of different gentlemen of all ages, but yet their conversations are the same. So they'll come to me because, I make myself available. Even though, I manage people, they still come to me and they talk, and what they basically first thing they're all telling me, don't get married. That's always what they're telling me. Women hate hearing that, but it's like, I've been up and down the East Coast in different management positions, but as I've been growing up, that's the number one thing universally I hear men telling me: don't get married. And then, of course, they're just telling me about all the shit that's going on in their marriage, and they're like, nah, you don't want this. Like, they get a chance to vent, but at the same time, even the guys who will sit here and say their wife is a trophy, just highlighting them. When the wife leaves, don't do it, man. Don't do it. And it's like, but from what I've heard, and again, now it goes to my own personal experience, it's conditions. You have conditions on when you can talk about certain things. And they generally go if your mom died, your sister died, something like that happens. Yes, cry.
Yep.
Yes, be emotional, but not too much.
Right.
It's manipulation.
Correct. So yes, so you're being manipulated on how to emotionally express yourself, and you're being dictated to on what is appropriate expression. It's
Yeah.
okay to cry. It's okay to talk to another man, because men don't talk to each other. They need to talk like damn, let me figure it out. Let me do it in a masculine way. Hell, I'll be honest with you, and this might sound crazy. I'm not crazy. But one of my hobbies that was a big stress reliever for me was going to the gun range. Like, I got into firearms.
Okay.
That was a very quote unquote masculine thing to do, because most of the time when I'm there, it's mostly men. But that was fucking relieving as hell, man. That was relieving. And it was a hobby, and it was something I could get into. It was around protecting myself and my children. It wasn't about like, I'm gonna, kill myself at the gun range or anything like that. But it was something to do. Now, she would never come on the news and say that. She would never say, men should go to the gun range if they're feeling stressed out. Or do archery or something. Do something masculine. It's okay. Build something. Shit.
But people
Go ahead.
People assume that you're not doing the work already, though. And that's one thing I've heard as well. Women will sit here and start giving advice, which I had to learn myself, that they're automatically assuming you're not doing the work.
Right.
They'll be like, oh, you need to be talking to somebody. Why are you assuming I'm not?
Right.
You need to be doing a hobby. Why are you assuming I don't have a couple? You need to be getting outside. Why are you assuming I'm not getting out there? Everything they could ask, I'm doing outside of checking yourself into a whole institution.
Right.
They just automatically assume you're not doing it, because if you were doing it, you'd be happy 24/7. That's how they push that narrative. And I've had to ask several women, why would you assume I'm not doing certain things? Or why would you assume this person isn't doing certain things? Because he's depressed?
Or
He's not allowed to be depressed?
Yeah. But my thing too is this, Lionel. Like, why is the expectation to be happy all the time something that people point towards? Like, for me, and I could be jaded in this too. Profession, my trauma growing up, all that. I think that it's okay for men to be content. I think being at a content level is fine. Finding yourself a balance to where you're not like extremely happy and you're not like down. Like, you're just kind of riding the wave of life. Like, you got a life rhythm and it's working for you. And if you're not overly expressive and, jumping up and down, clapping, does that mean that you're not happy? I don't know. What do you think?
So, as of last year, that's actually been something I've been looking for an answer to that, because when you're having conversations like these around people, it automatically becomes your past is holding you back. It automatically becomes you're chained down to something. It automatically becomes they put more on it than what it is.
Sure.
Like that's the thing. And if I'm not smiling like the Joker, plotting like the Joker 24/7, what's wrong with you? And it's like, what do you mean what's wrong with me? I'm not happy right now. What I just walked into work and I see that nobody did nothing all day. I'm not in a good mood now. So, like, if I'm not in a good, you're not going to sit here and be like, oh, calm down, look at the bright side. No, the bright side is I'm firing these people, getting new people, but then that means that's more shit for me to do. So maybe that just triggered me. You know, I built model kits. Sometimes my cats don't want to behave. And then the cat might jump up and shit knocked over. I'm not in a good mood now. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? So you have different situations. Now, let's say you think about it. You think about something, need the right word. You just think of something criminally evil. Something happened to you a long time ago. Maybe you smelled something in the air and it just reminded you. Now you're triggered by it. You ain't punching a wall or nothing. You're just not happy about it because that wasn't a good situation. Of course, now this becomes, you shouldn't let the past hold you down. Nick, I'm not there.
Right.
That was 20 years ago. I'm in a good spot now, but I'm not going to think back at that and think happy thoughts. You want me to be in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood 24/7, but I'm not. That's just the reality. And why they want you to be, they want you to be in Pee-wee's Playhouse. They want you to act like you're there, like you're around Barney and friends.
Right.
But that's not life, though.
Right. And I think that's men don't typically approach life like that. We approach life ready for things to go left or right, right?
You've already been told.
Yeah.
Basically, you've already been told growing up, basically, boys don't cry. 9 times out of 10, you've been told that from a woman. That boys don't cry. That if you're acting a certain type of way, you're getting called a bitch ass nigga because you have emotion. Most likely from your mom or your grandma. Like, they've already conditioned you to basically not be in check. If you feel some type of way, suck it up, or you get slapped in the head or something. So physically and mentally, they're conditioning you to be some type of way because, hey, you're a real man or you're growing to be a man. So when you actually get to that point, what training have you really had to be able to rationalize your emotions the right way? When your whole life basically has been conditioned by, unfortunately, the monarchs of, I need a name, the housewife monarchs. I need something for them. But they've been conditioning us. That's basically what it's been.
Monarchs.
Like, at every turn. So you got 20 years of women basically telling you what to do.
Correct.
And telling you how to think. Telling, and it's like, well, you're a man, you're supposed to think your own way. Okay, well, what are the men were saying? Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, that's not true. Usually that's a form of submission.
Just give the women, I've said that too. And they've basically been like, hey, just give the woman this. Get that new car, then you can get a woman. Get this nice clothes. Do it for a woman. Everything you do, essentially. That's what the men would be. In my life, that's what the men were saying. Everything you do for a woman. Like, damn, so what do I do for me?
That is for you.
Right. So
your whole goal is to get the peace league, my friend.
It took
your whole focus in life.
I got the women telling me it's about them. And then you got the men telling you about it's the women. You got the women telling you F your emotions. And then the men that are around, they're also pretty much telling you that because, again, Big Mama probably taught them the same thing. It gets to a point where it's like, damn, well, what about me? What makes me happy? And then when I actually started, let's say I invest in some hobbies and stuff like that, then you got the women getting mad at you about that. What about me? What about you? I want to go to WrestleMania. I don't want you coming with me. I want to build this new Gundam. I don't need you around me for that. You can go watch a movie or some shit. You know, if we're going to an ice skating ring or something, then sure, you can come because that's a date. But I'm just saying, like, when you start to invest in yourself, when you start to figure yourself out, you really do start to realize, damn, I don't like doing all this shit for them.
Right.
Because that's where it came with me. I realized I don't like doing none of this for you. I like doing a lot of stuff for me, though. And that's when I started being able to also rationalize my emotions, start to understand. And again, I had to look in the mirror, I had to be honest with myself. I wasn't happy.
Right.
Wasn't happy with a lot of things I was doing because I wasn't doing it for me. What was I getting out of it? And people, I think too many people get upset at you for being selfish, which annoys the hell out of me. But it's like, what am I getting out of it? And I don't mean like, you know, vagina or whatnot. I just meant, you know, in general, like, what value am I getting out of this? So when I realized I wasn't getting anything of value or substance out of this, it was like, I held myself accountable. I said, yo, you're doing too much. You got to cut this shit out. And you got to start working on you.
And I think even with the working on you part is like, it's determined a specific way, right? It's like,
yup,
you have to do it in a certain way. You need to start gardening, and you need to do breathing exercises, and you need to get in touch with your, you know, your anima, right? Your feminine side. Like, it's like, what the fuck? You need to cry more, which is going to go to another video that I want to show, and I would love to get your response to.
Right.
I'm going to switch it up because I don't think she's talking about nothing else I care to listen to at the moment. Let me see, which one was it? It was, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just talk about this one. So I'm gonna go to the root. Trust me, I understand the platform I'm getting ready to share. But I'm gonna go to the roots video on Black Boy Joy. Fed Up Southern Girl, salute, welcome to the channel. Please make sure you subscribe if you are not. We're talking about men and mental health tonight. I am going to bring up a black topic, and you are more than welcome to ask questions because you usually ask good ones. This is not all about black men, but we are talking about black men at the moment. So I'm going to show this clip. Here it is. About Black Boy Joy. Now, this was a big thing. What, maybe 4 years ago? Maybe even before the pandemic, where this Black Boy Joy movement was going on. Black boys need to have more joy. And it always rubbed me the wrong way because really they were talking about black men and they were calling us boys. That was the first problem. The second problem was all the strategies or quote unquote solutions were all weak. I didn't find nothing that was helpful to black men in any of the shit that they were talking about outside of being aware of your mental health. So we're gonna watch a video from a platform that doesn't always treat black men very well. This is from 8 years ago, so my timeline's even further off on Black Boy Joy. So we're gonna check this out here.
I'm a happy guy, man. I'm happy to be black. I'm happy to be here.
I feel that I exhibit Black Boy Joy. What is Black Boy Joy?
Black Boy Joy is a celebration of our boys and our men who...
Already a problem. I'm not, Lionel. Now, I didn't watch Lionel. I didn't watch this video yet. We are not even 20 seconds in, bro. What did I say? It always happens.
Yeah. And I'm glad you pointed that out because it made me actually pay attention. Another conversation we had made me start really looking at that. And it's like, yo, why are there so many women telling us about how our health should be, mental health should be?
The only clip I watched was the news clips. I skimmed those. The rest of these clips are just, let's check it out, live reaction. I did not watch this, and I'm telling you, man, you're gonna see a theme here. I know my industry. Side note, she's got some long ass hair.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. Her hair is crazy long. All right, I'm gonna roll the clip. Jesus, man, we literally are 16 seconds in. They already rolled out a woman. God,
in this society do not get half of the credit they deserve.
With the stigma that kind of comes with the black man, it's always a menacing scowl, the negative connotation that often comes with the black man. It's so beautiful to have an authentic smile, to show all 32 teeth and it be in joy.
We're not one-dimensional, and I think that Black Boy Joy hashtag is just like honoring that.
We need to be allowed to be who we are in fullness and not limited to this box of Black manhood.
The boy years of any person's life is really special. And I think in the Black community, sometimes we don't let those boys just be boys.
They're always stereotyped and put into boxes and carry the weight of the world on their shoulders.
You're supposed to be a man, be tough, and you can't just like be a boy.
Oh my gosh, we need Black Boy Joy because we need to be the whole of ourselves.
We need Black Boy Joy. It's a celebration of their accomplishments. It's a celebration of their grind, of their hustle, of their integrity, of their honorableness.
I think it gives the humanity back to Black boys and men. They should live, and they're living.
It's a sense of self, inside of that, a sense of purpose.
It's a celebration that every Black boy, Black man, Black king needs to have. They need to know they're appreciated and that they're loved, and it needs to exist.
Black Boy Joy is just being a Black man and being happy about it.
And I agree with about 20% of what we just saw there.
I got a question though. Why is it that they use gay men and women to I'm just
wondering if anybody was gonna catch that.
Like, why are they using gay men and women to show this? They couldn't get some straight men?
I think there were a few straight men in there. I don't know. I'm assuming there was at least two.
Nah, couldn't fool me.
The sister with the dreads has some long hair too, just so I'm keeping it clear because I know I'm gonna get some shit for that. But yeah, that also is a theme that you'll see. I wasn't gonna point that out. I was gonna let somebody else discover that. But yeah, you'll see that as well. And I'm not saying that gay men should not have a conversation.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to mental health, because to be honest with you, a lot of them have mental health issues. I mean, it's a struggle being gay, and being a Black man at that comes with a lot of mental health. And some people will say gay is a mental health issue, but I'm not gonna go there tonight. But it is a thing. It is a thing. That you will see when it comes to talking about mental health, when it comes to talking about men, you will often, especially Black men, you will often see a woman. They had two women being brought into it. Now, like I said, I probably agree with about 20% of what was said there because a couple things. The one of the things they ended on, I wish they would have talked about more instead of don't cry and all the typical crap, is appreciation. That is one thing I do agree with. Is that as men, we do not get shown appreciation very often. And I think that that's one of the things that hinders us.
Appreciation.
Yeah. Like, what is that, right?
I don't know that concept.
Yeah. oh, here goes Napster. Taking shots. But appreciation, like, some men don't even know how to accept compliments because we haven't been shown appreciation
exactly
from each other or from women. And to me, appreciation starts when you are a child. Appreciation starts with encouragement. And a lot of boys, period, but especially Black boys, don't get encouragement when they're younger. They don't get it at all. Salute to EAE. Welcome, sir. Let me knight you while you're here. You are my guy. People don't like you. I love you. Welcome. All right. So there's an issue with appreciation. And again, like I said, I think appreciation starts with encouragement. The school of psychology that I come from is called Adlerian psychology. Adler was like part of this trio with Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. He was the third person. He kind of got booted out the friend group. They kicked him out the group chat for various different reasons. But one thing that Adler says is that encouragement to a child is like water to a tree. Now you can, there's also versions that say water to a flower, water to a plant.
I got it.
But the original thing was, you needed to nourish the development. And when you talk to boys, especially Black boys, they don't get a lot of encouragement younger. So later on in life, that level of appreciation is almost a foreign concept. Like think about major life achievements, right? You go from middle school to high school, you graduate high school, you may go to college, you may go to military, you may get a job. Like, where do black boys get celebrated outside of maybe their birthday? When does it happen? When they get out of jail?
Damn.
Maybe when they have their first kid, but usually that's more about the woman. Like, even think about baby showers. If the dude
Not
shows up,
usually, it is.
yeah. When a dude shows up to the baby shower, it's always awkward, right? It's like, oh, this the daddy. It's a mess. It's a mess, man. So like, when it comes to appreciation, again, I don't think even a lot of men know how to accept that. So imagine how that processes through a person's mind. That you go out and you're out here fighting and slaying dragons in the world, coming to not a lot of appreciation of anything. And appreciation can look different for different people, right? It may not be words of affirmation or any of that love language bullshit. It could be like, things that are consistent, things that you may ask for, acknowledgments of things, pointing out certain things, doing little favors. A lot of men just don't get that. But what's been your experience when it comes to appreciation?
Well, before I touch that, they had brought up how from 2018 to 2021, there was a significant increase in suicides among basically black teens. And it was, what was it? From 2000 to 2020, it was 10 to 19 with a 78% increase.
Yep.
Where the 2018 to 21 saw a 37% increase. And it's like, it goes back to, you ask how many of these boys were shown that they were appreciated.
Right.
Something as simple as that. How many of these boys were shown that they were loved or that they mattered, where they looked at it and said, hey, this was the only option. I'm done. And then you hear other people talk about how selfish these boys were. Like, you're so selfish to do that. Well, I mean, if they went that route to begin with, how come we're not trying to understand why their mental went that direction? Why is it automatically, oh, they were selfish, they weren't thinking about anybody? Or the inverse of it, they weren't thinking about anybody but themselves, but yet that was the point. They were thinking about themselves. Why do we put a negative connotation on that? In my personal experience, man, appreciation from women, appreciation in general, like my siblings, they show me appreciation all the time. So
where are you at in the birth order, just out of curiosity?
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably why.
I got the younger, I got the younger two. They show me plenty of appreciation. Just
that, but,
they show me plenty of appreciation. When you look outside of them, you could help a girl buy a house. You could help a dude get a job. You won't see a thank you. 9 times out of 10, you won't see a thank you. People will tell you, oh, well, these are just the wrong people. How many times are you finding the wrong people, though? Sounds like they just everywhere. It's like the whole concept where they tell you, oh, man, you went through all these girls. You keep finding the wrong girls. I'm like, but there's a million woman Marcha Pukishas out there. So how do you not? I mean, you don't know which is which at this point. And they, of course, they don't like hearing that, but it is what it is. I've watched, and again, most dudes have seen it. The dude that treats this girl, slaps her around, calls her all type of names, sit at home, don't do nothing, don't provide. She'll tell him thank you. She'll give him praise. She'll tell us how good he is. But then you got the dude that literally is paying the bills, providing, hell, giving her flowers and candy, all of that. Not even a thank you. Barely a hug.
And painful, man.
And I'm just saying, and they're like, what am I doing this for? I can't even get appreciation. And And then it pains me to hear the guys that'll sit here and defend us though, because 9 times out of 10, that's happening to them too.
Right.
Like you're defending it, but you're ignoring that. Hey, this girl isn't even saying thank you to you for all you're doing.
What do you think appreciation from other men look like to men? Oh Lord, I was not expecting this. Answer the question, and I'm gonna bring. We have another guest in the back. This is gonna get interesting.
Definitely acknowledgement. On like, if I'm being I mean, just acknowledging that, yo, you out there killing it. Like, you should be proud of yourself for just little. If WWE, when you see Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, that is what that. Obviously not right now, but with Paul Heyman, how he would introduce him, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's funny. Man, it's like, one of the ways that I try to show appreciation to other men, and even saying that sounds weird, people are gonna take that out of context, but like, I always say I appreciate you. Like just those words alone, right? Maybe they might do you a favor. Like that's one thing I know I say to my barber all the time. Like, appreciate you. I'll see you later. Even though I'm paying for a service, right? Still letting them know I appreciate what he does, the conversation we had, the connections that we might make as we're talking. Me being in his shop, him connecting me with other people in the shop. Like, there's a level of gratitude there that goes a long way. And I think we just don't have moments where we show that we don't. And we should. I think we should, because that's how you build a network, right? That's how you advance. And even to a certain extent, even with yourself, right? So like, for folks, some of my audience don't know who Lo is. They'll get familiar with her soon enough. But there's a lot of folks, like, you reached out, you say, yo, you think you could do something? Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Let me make it happen. It took a while, but we made it happen, and it was a success. It was a success, right? And it was an effort. It was a lot of me pushing her, like, let's do this. She's like, I don't know how to do interviews. Like, don't worry about it. I will give you questions to ask him, which I did. Because it was important. It was important because you reached out. You said, yo, can you help me with something? And I said, yeah, let me see what I can make happen. One thing about me, I don't make promises. I just try to make things happen as best as I can. And it did. Eventually it did happen. But it's those type of efforts, I think, that need to take place for men to feel supported by other men. And
I absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be on any fugazi weird stuff, nothing like that. No. None of that fruity stuff. It is just like, hey, I see a brother doing something. Let me help out. So, all right, we have a guest. I'm a little hesitant to bring this individual up. I'm going to do it for the sake of the individuals here. He left again. Okay. All right. You got to keep coming in and keep leaving, bro. I don't know what to do. I'm not even going to say what it is, because it's going to make at least 2 people in my chat go crazy. I know for sure. But if he pops back up, I'll bring him up. Oh my God. I'm surprised this individual even showed up over here, to be honest with you. But yeah, so anyway, Char Willie, I'm going to introduce a part of YouTube and the internet. If this individual comes up, that you probably will hope. Oh my God. It's like interesting day today. Another individual has come up that I was surprised to be here. It wasn't Xavier EAE. He didn't pull out his penis. It was another interesting individual who's getting a lot of attention. We have another gentleman who's going to join us as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say.
Good evening. Good evening. As the blackest man on YouTube, I thought I'd have a opinion on this.
Oh Lord! All right, Imperious. Even though you are very controversial, I low key rock with you, Imperious. Let's have a good conversation.
I'm only controversial if people are like get their feelings hurt. I'm not really that I just say the things people really feel deep down in their heart. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. What are your thoughts on men and mental health, Imperious?
Well, I think mental health, happiness is a product. I think it's a product of achievement. Especially for men. I think men need to achieve something, have goals, whether it doesn't need to be large, but achievements. I think men need to be focused on goals and things to do, not on feelings or people. I think that is what satisfies men the most. And happiness, true happiness, comes from within. It doesn't come from outside. No matter how much money, no matter, I mean, look at some of those Saudi, the sheiks, the billionaire. These are not happy people all the time, even though they have all kinds of money. Happiness and satisfaction comes from within. It's not just I mean, half the fun is not having all the money and reaching the top. A lot of the times when people reach the top and they get all this money, they go, is that it? I mean, look at like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. They're giving away like 99 point something percent of their fortunes when they died or something, because it's not really like the amount of wealth you accumulate. It's like the lasting effect you'll be remembered for. I think that's what satisfies, man.
Absolutely. What do you think? So you mentioned happiness. What do you think about men reaching a level of being content or even kill, as Speak said earlier?
Again, it's a tough thing for men, I think, because contentness is both a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it's good to know when to stop and balance, but being content too early can be negative for men and not ever reach your highest point. It can make men lackadaisical. It could make men, become those, stupid stoner failure to launch people.
Interesting.
So it depends what we're talking about satisfaction, That's why I say it's better about goals. Like, satisfaction, I think, comes from incremental goals. Yeah. Well, they are. I mean, they're giving them to, philanthropic organizations and stuff. So,
right,
their kids aren't getting them. So.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, look at Rockefeller. People say, "Oh, he's a horrible guy," but I mean, literally, do people understand like how many hospitals and how many schools and how many people think he was like some horrible tycoon just because this is the thing. Like, not all people that acquire wealth and everything do it in like horrible manners. Like, maybe there were some nefarious things here and there, but it's not like these people are just butchering hundreds and thousands of people and like taking gold out of a mine somewhere that some people owned,
Sure. What do you think? What do you think young boys need, Imperious, to maintain good, quote unquote, good mental
rules,
or emotional
boundaries, and
health?
limitations.
More boundaries and limitations. Say more about that.
No, rules, boundaries, and limitations.
Rules, boundaries, and limitations. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I think boys, especially. I mean, when I was young, I mean, we discover the world through physical interaction with things. I think through sports, through being kind of hitting each other and beating up each other a little when you're young and going. And me and my friends, we used to play like wrestling. You know what I mean? When we were young, we'd pretend like we had little like cooking pans we thought were chairs. We'd do suplexes in the yard and power bombs and DDT, all those things. But it was like roughhousing. And I think that's how little boys, that's why recess and sports is so important. And unfortunately, in schools, that was the first thing they got rid of. And that's why boys suffer in school, because they have all this pent up energy biologically. And they can't just sit there like defective girls in school with their hands crossed. I mean, when I was a little kid, they thought I had like ADHD because I loved running around. And my aunt, who was a principal at a school, or my great aunt, she was like, "No, you're not putting him on any Ritalin. He's a little boy. Like, I've seen thousands of them since I've been you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
But now they put these kids on, Ritalin, and they discipline these kids for just being little boys, and that goes against little boys' nature. And then that's when it starts getting to where you start seeing that, this repressed aggression and shit. And that's what leads to a lot of crime and a lot of it's boys that never become men that don't know what it is, because they're told that becoming a man and what they feel they should be is negative. And it's never be able to be blossomed when they're young and cultivated and directed that energy, harness that energy.
Right. Len, I'm gonna bring you into the conversation if you have a response. But before you do that, salute to the Urban League podcast. Thanks for coming over. Looking forward to linking up with you gentlemen soon. Not sure if you're gonna do a show this Sunday on Father's Day, but if you are, I'll do my best to hop up. I'm gonna ask what you think, Lionel. That we have another guest in the back. I'm gonna bring this person up. I'm a little worried about bringing this person up, but I'm gonna give him his opportunity. Any thoughts on Imperious's response to the questions?
He's not accounting for the little boys that have been touched. Because these boys who have been touched have been told by the grown men, this is what grown men do. Now you're a man because I just took advantage of you. Now get out there and go play with the other boys.
Well, I didn't know we were talking about the mental health of a specific subset of traumatized.
No, because they exist also, though, but people have a habit of throwing them under the rug, ignoring them.
Of course they do, and they have special treatment and special diagnoses and special things that go different. I'm talking about the overall general set of why boys, the majority of young boys, are going out killing each other, being violent, being the lowest they've been in 50 years in standardized test scores. They're not wanting to work. They're not wanting to do anything.
And I'm telling you that some of them boys in the mix, just like some people listening, have been brutally touched by some older men. And they might listen to you and think, damn, well, I mean, that wouldn't have been wise for me to do that.
Yeah,
and when we bring it up, it gets thrown under the rug literally immediately, instead of just being like, okay, well, what about them? I got something different to tell you, maybe.
But that's like making a nutrition plan or a pyramid for the majority of society and saying people that have what is that quadriplegics don't need the same, so that pyramid's wrong.
But if somebody is part of that conversation, it doesn't hurt to bring it up, especially when it's addressed.
But you can't make that's a very specific subset of something that you have to direct completely in a unique manner.
But it's not as unique. It's not as unique as you think, though, because sometimes the same advice can apply to that person, though.
No, dude.
Sometimes it can't.
If a young kid's been butt fucked, they have a completely different mental health perception of the world. They have a completely altered everything, and they have special care that needs to be treated to them, long-term care, to help them understand their trauma and what happened so that they can become functional members of society. But the majority of kids have not been ass fucked. And because of that, I can't make rules that are going to govern 80% when maybe 20% have trauma. You have to make rules for the majority, not the few that have had exceptional.
But then you say the few, but then there's plenty of people that are coming out. There's plenty of cases that the Department of Justice are bringing up, letting you know it ain't really just a few. That's a lot that's happening, but we're just outright ignoring it because we're not comfortable talking about it.
It's not that I'm not comfortable with it. I just, again,
no. I don't take that as you. I'm saying in general.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's an uncomfortable conversation. I think society doesn't want to think about kids being abused. I mean, that's a horrible thing to think about. I mean, and in general. But yes, that is a problem. Of course, abuse a child is the worst thing you can do. And I believe you should dedicate resources to it. But if I'm talking about overall in society, about the mental health of most, because remember, a lot of these, kids that are going around and rioting and doing the school stuff and, criminality, they're not kids that were touched that were little. They were kids that were neglected and had nobody.
Some of them were touched. Being honest.
Yeah. Some 5 to 10%.
I'm gonna bring our guest up because I've kept him in the back for a while. I'm a little reluctant to do this. I ain't gonna lie. Spicoli, don't come up here on no fuck time crazy stuff. I've seen you have constructive conversations. You are a very toxic nuclear person on YouTube right now for the things that you said recently. I'm gonna do this, but I will kick your ass out of here, just so you know. Welcome to the panel.
Well, thank you for having me on, Universal. It's glad to see Simperius here and Lionel. First of all, any dude that talks about butt fucking is sus right away. I mean, Jesus Christ, for one thing. Plus, he's talking about what's not normal or natural. Is it natural for a dude 37 or 38 like Imperius to be an incel or celibate for 4 years or 5 years? That's not natural
Is
either.
it normal for
That,
you
and
to have a
Curtis,
boyfriend?
is it
Is it normal
natural
for you to
not
to have a boyfriend? Universal, I
it's
tried to
not
be nice.
natural to get
I
laid,
tried to be
dude.
nice,
I
Universal.
know. I'm gonna give him one shot. Spicoli,
It's not natural to get laid, Imperious, to go
It's
4
not
years and
natural to
you're
be
a
as ugly as you
celibate.
are, Spicoli. It's not natural to harass little 18-year-old girls, be investigated by the FBI, and be as ugly as you are either.
Oh,
but
man.
somehow you accomplished
No,
all three.
the FBI is not investigating me for shit, dude.
They did,
What do you-
sir. They
Oh,
did. We
They
already
never
proved all this.
investigated. You are
Thank
a
God it's one
liar.
more. Cheers, Char Willie. Cheers. All right.
You're a
Imperious,
liar. I could say anything. I could say they investigated you for going down on your mommy and eating out her dirt
Except you
shoes.
admitted, you've already
I
admitted,
can
and we
say
have the
anything
paperwork and
about
we have the documentation,
anything.
Spicoli. The difference
I
is you
can
were
say
called
that
by an
you
FBI
fucked
agent,
up your
Spicoli. When an
brother
FBI
and
agent calls
who
you,
was under
Spicoli,
18.
Spicoli, it doesn't matter.
Why do you
I have
pick on
never
love
been in
so much?
Spicoli. I have never been involved where I've needed an FBI agent to call me.
It's not.
The
I don't
fact
know
that
if
you're
it's-
involved in
Really?
something, Spicoli,
Well,
the
it was
fact that you're
Hornmaster
involved
who
with
called
the
me.
fact
Yeah,
that you're
Hornmaster
involved with
was talking
something,
to
and the
16-year-old on my
fact that you
table.
were involved with something that may
No, I
include a
was not
minor makes you
involved.
guilty
I
enough.
called up and
It makes
reported
you
a
a guilty
crime.
enough. It makes you
Reporting
guilty enough,
jackass.
Spicoli. It
Reporting a
makes you.
crime
It
is
makes you guilty
different
enough, Spicoli.
than being part.
It makes him guilty enough. In
All right.
jail, that would be enough, anyways.
Yeah.
Just if you're associated with it.
Now, Imperious, you've done amazing. You came very.
I tried to be
respectful.
very respectful, sir.
Yeah, you did, and I appreciate it. And
He
we've
did.
always had a decent
And
dynamic.
I even let him attack me for like a minute too, and I just kind of stayed quiet, you know.
Yeah, I've seen you go scorch earth for him before, so thank you. But Jesus, I gave him a shot. He couldn't handle it. You know, he's
mad that the mixed little girl likes me more than him.
No, God, we're not gonna go there either. All right, Lionel, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
No, a white girl though. Let's be honest, it's a white girl. Not
oh God, we're not doing that. We're not.
I get what he's saying.
I think I'm darker now that I've been out in the sun on the beach. Though I genuinely think I'm darker. Like I genuinely do. Like I think I'm darker than EAE too. I think EAE is a little pervy kind of mixed. You know what I mean? Like he looks probably like he looks like a Urkel Patrick Mahomes. That's what I feel like EAE is, an Urkel Patrick Mahomes.
Well, you know, EAE gets a lot of crap. Speak thinks he's in a wheelchair. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm gonna show a video. I'd love to get your guys' response on this. It's another mental health video. This one's about 4 minutes long. Anytime you want me to pause it, just say pause and feel free to add your commentary.
3 times as many men commit suicide as women in the UK, with suicide being the most common cause of death for males below the age of 50. Clearly, something is not right, and we need to do better. My name is Dr. Art Pinto. I'm an actively practicing general practitioner in the UK, and I have a strong passion for mental
Pause it
health.
real quick.
From my own.
Really gonna look like? Are we gonna take advice from something that looks like that about like a men's mental health or something? That guy looks like some kind of like Frankenstein, like Hills Have Eyes monster. For God's sake, look at him. Look at him. I mean, are you kidding me?
It's been an interesting.
I mean, how is he not one of them? I mean, has a woman ever looked at it? I mean, for God's sakes, man.
We've noticed a trend of things happening when it comes to talking about men's mental health. Women are often, front and center as the professional or the expert, and gay men are often entered into the conversation.
Oh yeah. It's and if you notice that they've made an extreme push over the last like 15 years, even maybe long, 15, 20, to make black like the standard black man like a sassy fag or sassy gay. Yeah, have you noticed that? Like I'm sorry, there are no like tough, hard black dudes anymore. There's no like what was that Wesley Snipes movie where he was the bad dude in that building? What was that again? Detroit Block City or Detroit something? Whatever that movie.
New Jack City.
There you go. Yeah, that movie was bad. Like, where's the badass black? Now they're all like, oh no, we don't want to do that. No, everyone's okay. Like that queer elf in the Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Mhm.
Like they're all queers now, and they're all trying to date white chicks. Have you noticed that in every ad, like they push this like white chick on black dudes? Like they're
Yeah.
trying to create. I genuinely think it's like creeps like EAE that's behind all of it. He's trying to create an army of little like mixed things for him. Like that's what he wants. He wants an army of little like half breeds walking around. You know what I mean?
Sure. Now, Urban
Now
League
I don't mind
Podcast.
it. Like Halle Berry was one of my eternal crushes. She still looks good. You know what I mean? I don't mind it. Like trust me. But I'm just saying, you know, I don't know.
There is a
There is a
concerted
push
effort to push these dynamics.
Yeah, like I mean, if it
Reversing
happens,
the
it
trend.
happens. That's fine. I mean, it happened in my family. I'm just saying, like, you know, like this concerted effort when that's not even like a real big thing that happens all the time naturally. Like if it does great.
Yeah.
But in general, people go with who they look like. I mean, it's just human nature.
Sure.
And if they, I mean, and if you want the universals, everyone wants Asian half Asian. Everyone wants an Asian woman. Like that's what the statistics show.
Well, yeah, especially with your kind, with white men, they
Well,
love
not
it.
just that, dude. You'd be surprised with black men, the number of black men when
It's increasing. I mean, shout out to
with
Gary. He's got him a half and half.
and Latino guys too. Like the only ones that are like I was looking here. I'll try. Let me see if I can post the link. I was posting like swiping numbers on Tinder by race. You could really extrapolate on that.
If
dude.
you have the link, put it in the back chat. I'll bring that up because I think that I mean that can kind of go into our
give me a sec. Hold on, I'll post it.
We
It's
can
like a
interweave
story.
it. I'm gonna play the video. Urban League Podcast says, I don't see nothing wrong with it as long as they have something valuable to bring into the conversation. And I get that, and I don't disagree 100%, but there is an optical thing happening here, and there is a certain
He may not have been here early, real quick, for you to remember what you said about when you did your search, and when you did your search, who was talking about mental health, basically dominantly.
Yeah, mostly women.
White women. It's always white women.
Well,
Like
if
blonde,
it's black
like
men,
heavy set
they'll bring
blonde
in
chicks.
black women. If it's black men, but
Really? It's mostly those Karen blonde, like butch cut, like older chicks. You know what I mean, with kind of the double chins. Anyways, the charts in the back. Click on that link.
I got it. I
go
got
to the chart and look at who swipes on who by rate, like
Yep,
preferences.
I see it. I'm gonna try to grab the image. I will. Am I showing this now? Okay, I'll bring it up after the clip.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
I'm gonna keep playing it.
I've seen that men tend to delay seeking medical help, or sometimes they don't seek it at all. Now that's got me thinking, why is that? When we look at the statistics, it becomes apparent that mental health issues are rising. Mental health issues, you see, don't discriminate whether you're male or female, but their impact isn't quite the same for both. It's rather unsettling to note that a staggering 75% of recorded suicides are among men, and what's even more alarming is that it remains the leading cause of death for males under the age of 50.
You want to hear
So
a
why
funny
don't
stat,
men
though,
seek
in relation
help?
to that?
The reason.
What's up?
So, as bad as that sounds, women attempt suicide more often, but just like everything else, men are better at it.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. And the reason for that is men use more lethal devices.
Because women really don't want to be suicidal. They're just doing
Right.
a cry for help where they want someone to like jump in the middle and go,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
can't.
they-
You
they
don't
give
do it."
themselves
Men
an
are actually like, I'm
opportunity
over
to
this shit.
save.
Bam, I'm done.
Yeah, they give themselves an opportunity to be saved. Either strangulation or poisoning is usually their method of choice, which is interesting, right? It's almost another thing that I read that's interesting about this is a lot of women when they attempt and they don't succeed, they talk about how and why they chose the method, and they almost romanticize the way that they go out. Where what you just said, a man's just like, fuck it, I'm done. Boom, I'm out of here, right? But a woman wants to go out and it's like fantasy type of thinking. It goes right back to female nature at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, it's the whole thing. Their life is a movie. They're the star, director, writer, producer, special effects coordinator. You know, like they're living a movie every day. And that's why they're all chasing like TV shows. They all want to live a life like Sex in the City, where it's all just this flouncing around, like just. And if you notice, they talk, but they don't ever say anything.
Well, one of the people that I think doesn't get enough credit is Patrice O'Neal, and something that I've heard him say.
Yeah, him and Tom Likas and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Him and I think I was talking to you, Lionel. I said those two are really the true godfathers of the manosphere. But one thing that I heard Patrice say recently, I was re-listening to some of his stuff recently, and he said that women, I know this is not a women's show, but women don't have second and third level thinking. They are first level thinkers. So if you ask a woman, if she says something like, and test this, because I did this on Lowe's channel the other night. And Bean caught it actually. Bean caught it. He's like, you're red pilling these chicks. Let them talk and then ask them why to whatever they say. Just a why question. And watch how the conversation just dissipates. It just goes away. Like, what the fuck? Like they can't. It's like they just can't figure out like the next thought.
It's no. I mean, what they'll do is they'll just start saying a lot of words and nothing will mean anything, and then they'll just act confusing and overwhelm guys with just like, oh my god, and then the guys are just like, wait, what? Instead of just going, shut the fuck up. Nothing you say is anything. Because
I still think they need to have a place to talk.
I fundamentally, what men need to realize is the first child you have will be your wife/girlfriend.
Oh my god, we're not gonna go there today.
No, but it's true. But it's true. You have to provide for them, care for them, protect them, guide them, give them advice. Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that point, but I do want to stick to men's mental health. We're gonna come back to that. I think that's a show. The first child you have is your girlfriend or your wife. We do have somebody in the back named Sam. I don't know what Sam this is. This could be the famous Sam Simmons, which many of you are not familiar with, but I'm going to see. But before I bring you up, Sam, because I don't recognize you, I'm going to throw something up just to make sure you're not a porn bomber. I don't expect to get porn bombed because I'm not a hot chick. But Sam, who are you, Sam? You are on the panel, Sam. Welcome. Sam, are you there? Maybe I am being porn bombed. Jesus. All right. Well, Sam, if you can get your mic together, I'll bring you back up in a second. If you are there, I'm gonna bring you down. Feel free to turn your cam on and like wave or something. Your hand. Let me be very clear.
Universal wants to see that big cock waving around.
I've seen so many penises on Lowe's channel at this point. I'm disgusted, man. I've seen that.
But the thing is like, at the end of the night. Oh, I'm not gonna say. Go ahead. I'm not gonna say. I'm trying to be nice to you on your channel because I know you'll hear.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here.
I know you'll hear
actually
about
having a conversation.
Say this shit. You know what I mean? So.
Man, all right, I'm gonna continue.
But did you hear the drama about why she banned me or whatever? It was because Bob.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Bob. And no, but this is the thing. It's because and dude, me and Bob are having a little war and everything because, like, I talked to CT anyway. Like, I've turned like half of the audience against them because of Bob. So like, CT has to balance like between keeping the show afloat and like allowing Bob to just keep paying him for what he wants. But anyways, aside from that, it's just funny. Like I said, I have Bob. I hurt him so bad that he has to go around trying to get other people to not have me on their shows so that he can go on there because he's so terrified of me. That's like that in itself is the most amusing thing that could ever happen. To know that someone is so terrified of me that they think that going around on online shows where there are millions of shows and taking the time out of your day to do that because there's that much fear in you says anything other than you're a woman. Yeah. Anyways,
absolutely.
But the problem is sir, is that women are children and they have the mindset that because they have no need mentally to grow after 15. Because think about this logically. If you're paid for, cared for, assured survival, and assured reproduction, why would you have to grow out from that as an entity, as an animal? Yeah. Once you've achieved all that, what do you need to do? What is the existential need to grow more?
Absolutely. I heard a comment once. Somebody said that women stop growing mentally once they have their first child if their brain's not.
Oh, it's 15. Once they hit 13, 14, it's really once they hit the period.
It could be true. I don't know. I'm not going to confirm or deny that.
No, because remember, women.
Was that you, Lionel, that said that?
I know it was Speak.
Oh, Speak. Yeah, that was Speak that said that. Yeah.
Well, no, what people don't realize is women socially and cognitively kind of evolve quicker than men do. And by the time girls are 10, 11 years old, they're much more socially adept at dynamics of interactions and stuff. And they know, even at that age, men look at them differently. Okay? They do. No, subconsciously.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that women
Biologically, because women's survival is intrinsically tied to how much they can attract a man and keep a man interested in them. That's why women can still have sex while pregnant.
That's fine. I don't care what they like or not like. That's fine.
But that's what I'm saying. See, but that's what I mean. Like, you have to universal. If you want to F her, you have to not care about her. That's the inverse relationship between
trust
women.
me, I know you gotta disrespect them.
No, it's not disrespect. I don't tell men to disrespect. I generally don't think you should disrespect women. It's just do whatever you want to do all the time, and they can either come along with it or not. Yeah, they can either come along with it or not. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Sam has rejoined. I'm gonna try this one more time. I think that I might know who this Sam is. I'm not 100% sure. Salute to King TL. Feel free to hop on the panel if you like, sir. Greetings, Sam. You're back on the panel. Your mic is on. You are unmuted on our end, but we cannot hear you. I'll give it a few more seconds. Something's happened. I think they're trying to turn their cam on. If I get porn bombed, that's like a badge of honor at this point. But you shouldn't be porn bombing guys' channels. That's like super sus. All right, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna drop you. I'm not gonna kick you out the studio. I'm just gonna drop you. Get your tech together, and we'll bring you back up here in a second. All right. Oh man. Tommy's in the building. Let's see. Oh my god. It is a porn bomber. I've reached that level, everybody. Apparently, I've reached porn bomb level. Jesus. Goodbye. Oh my god. How do I get porn bombed? What the fuck? Where's Garion? This might confirm Garion's theory that the porn bombing was always for me and not really for Lo, because how do I get porn bombed? Oh my god. Wow. Damn. That's crazy. All right. I don't even know how to respond to that. Oh my god. And I'm not fascinated. That I'm more like, wow, this is a damn men's mental health show and I get porn bombed.
Reasons behind men hesitating to seek support are quite intricate. And one significant factor is the enduring influence of traditional and societal expectations of masculinity. Throughout history, there's been this notion that men should epitomize qualities like strength, independence, and unwavering control. Even though times are changing, many of these stereotypes still linger. These ideas get ingrained in young boys early on, making
like those things are true. Like, that's why men are so insecure, because now they're not able to reflect those things. Stoicism, control, strength, being dignified men. Because now you're supposed to show your emotions, be like a woman. Like I said, little boys are seen as defective little girls. Like, see, it's the entire focus of society that people don't understand that the mere yeah, porn is an issue. Porn's an issue because it makes men docile. It makes men not have to strive to get anything. If you don't need to go get pussy, it's just
wait. Go back to what you were saying before.
About what? Oh, what about the God damn it! Now you got me off the top.
They're defective.
But yeah, that's not the issue. It's you're treated by society. Okay, men are put aside into a very, very small of what you can be. And it's not natural. Now, if it was a small box like it has been for society most of the time, okay, and it was natural, as in that small box of being strong, quiet, stoic, responsible, accountable, reliable, those kind of honor, dignified, sacrifice, those kind of things that men have, honor, duty. Yeah, like that was natural. So men could stay within that small box because that's what we do. But now what it is that women are sitting there defining what a man is. if you notice, every discussion always tells us a woman telling you, well, why aren't you as a man doing this? You I literally hear women nowadays saying in so many words, men are born and designed to just make things and be a servant to women. They're just naturally providers. Like, do you understand how, like, that in itself, that mindset reflects much more than you could say about anything else they can say? Like, how, imagine if ever, like, see, and that's why women get so mad at me on here, and even dudes, because I'm reflecting the same type of energy back at how women default about men. That's why I say, well, why aren't you just a breeding object? Why don't we just put you in medically induced coma and just breed you every 9 months? You don't need to be awake for that. And then they get all crazy. But then they say at the same time, men are born to be providers. As in, you're a slave and your only existence is to make shit for women, so it's happy for them. Why is that any worse? Or any better?
Lionel, did you have a response?
I wanted to ask him if he heard about the data that was showing that around 80% of the households are being headed by mothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
that's why our society's failing.
and so
They're not meant to raise anything. They're meant to bear the child, until it can be assigned like around 3 years old, and the man can take over. Like, that's why in ancient Greece and Rome, at 4 or 5 years old, the boys were taken from the mothers.
unfortunately, that's not our reality now. Now it's, well,
Then I say, enjoy the decline, let it burn. I'm not here to save anything, nor do I care. Let these people fry on their own stupidity. Stop trying to save people. Live your life to the best that you can. That's it. It don't matter. Like I said, you think I care about the riots? You think I care if this whole country burns? I don't care. Like, why? Like, are you just going to sit there? That literally is going to drive you mad if you just sit there worrying and caring. It will make you. You don't see successful people caring about anything else than their goal. Michael Jordan, the reason he's seen as the GOAT is because he had that killer mentality that nothing existed but winning. His one focus.
The Napstar.
I know Napstar. I know. Well, I mean, but Napstar's kind of. I mean, he is kind of on the rainbow. I mean, look at how he stimps for all these women. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
Napstar's not. Napstar's cool, man. Come on.
I mean, no, I'm just saying. But there's so many, dude. That's the thing. Like, why can't we just be on this? And this is the thing. Like, no one's honest anymore. You know, I remember, like, especially black men. I remember, I learned how to freaking not give a fuck from black guys. And now I look around and I see black guys care more than white people now. Like when will a black guy, like he used to, go up to a girl and just like, hey girl, let's go smoke a joint out there and just go hook up in the car.
Well, you gotta look at it. We're being cultivated a specific way. Even in the videos we showed before you got here, Spicoli, they were featuring black men, but these black men are what I would consider effeminized black men. They may not be gay, but they've been conditioned to be a certain way and act a certain way. And they've lost their masculine frame for the most part.
Oh yeah, this is what and it's like this dude right here. Typical white guy. That's what you think.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. A lot of white men are going through the same thing.
If you look at the typical white guy, it's soy jack. They're all open mouth when they I know exactly when I'm dealing with a liberal or a queer because they have those pictures with their mouth open in like mock shock.
Kind of like this freeze frame.
Well, no, it's even worse. You know what I'm talking about the soy jack pictures but they do look like him, but he'd be really smiling and opening his mouth like he just swallowed a load or something. You know what I mean? Like that's what they do. You know, and I know automatically seeing that that's a you know.
Yeah. All right. Oh man, I don't know if I can do this again. I'm gonna try, Spicoli, man. If you don't ask and talk normally and not get crazy, you gotta go, bro. Like I'm gonna just kick you for real. All right.
All right,
How
I'm
would
gonna
you?
be a good boy. Sorry that
Yeah,
somebody porn
please.
bombed you.
It's okay.
Unless,
It wasn't you, so it's
no, it
fine.
wasn't me because unless the guy was 7 inches or plus, it wasn't me. So it wasn't.
You just can't. I don't know. I wasn't measuring. I just know what I saw. But how are you? What are your thoughts on men's mental health, Cody?
Okay, what I think about men's mental health is that men have become so feminized and women so masculinized that the roles have reversed. And let me make a point here. Here's why women's lib has failed us. And my mom was a women's libber in the 70s. Here's why. It's very simple. We have 60% of women in college versus 40%, right? In the 70s, it was reversed, 60% men, 40% women. Here's what I'm saying. Us men are generous. We're providers. When we go out, even before women work or whatever, we would be willing to marry. Us men are willing to marry women if they're hot, cute, and nice, even if she works in a Denny's, and we will support her, and she can do minimal work and have our babies, and we can marry down, right? But what happens is, look what happens when women make more than men. You can have a woman who's an attorney making 150 grand a year. She won't even want to marry a dude making 100. She's going to want to marry a dude 150,000 or more. So what happens is when women start making a lot of money, they're selfish. They don't want to marry a man who makes less. They don't want to support a man. So women are very selfish creatures, very self-centered and narcissistic, and us men are generous. And the proof is in the pudding. Because the fact is, most women do not want to marry men that make less money than them. And that's why fewer of them are getting married. In fact, it's only hurting them. The higher education, most women who are college educated want a man who's college educated. There's less of them. So basically, you've got all these single women, they're fem cells, I call them, or some are just ran through hose. And the reality is, as long as we have, when men were making more than women, it was cool because we were willing to marry women that made way less money than us or didn't have any jobs at all. We didn't care. They were going to have our babies and we would have been committed to them. But when women make more money than men, they don't wait. Oh, it's weird. A woman that makes 100 grand a year doesn't even want to marry a dude making 75,000 a year. Think about it. It's so my reality, and here's the problem. Wait, all these women want guys who are 6 feet plus and make over 100 grand a year. You know what? That's only like maybe 5% of the male population are over 6 feet making 100 grand a year.
That's 1%, dude.
Exactly.
1%.
So my point is, these women are either going to just die alone or with cats, or they're just going to have to they're never going to get married because it's weird. It's weird too. Look, if a woman's making 100 grand and she meets a guy that makes 75, she doesn't want to marry the guy because she makes more than him, right? But the fact is, if you have two people with 1 or 2 kids making 175,000 a year, that's very good money. That's in the top 10% of all Americans, So the fact is, but women don't even want.
That's like the top 7-8%, dude.
Okay, exactly. And my point is, but women don't want to even marry a guy like that. Whereas if you got a dude who makes 100 grand a year, if he meets a woman who works in Denny's making 25,000 a year as a waitress, we're willing to marry her if she's cute. If she, in other words, am I correct? So, in other words, why do you think half these women between 20 and 40, by the year 2030, I think now half of them are single and will have kids. So it's just. So this is where feminism hurts the family. Now, I wouldn't be saying this if women were fucking, if women were making 150,000 a year and they were willing to marry guys making 50 grand a year, which is what the average dude makes, then I wouldn't be saying anything. And you know what? I'm 67. It's just, I was a limo driver in the mid 80s making like 50,000 a year. I was a legal analyst in the mid 90s making like $90,000 a year. My last job in the legal field, I was working, hey, Imperius, you're a lawyer. Ever heard of the law firm Quinn Emanuel? You know who Quinn Emanuel is?
Yeah.
They're the great.
Yeah,
you know who Quinn Emanuel is? Hey, wait, Quinn Emanuel, wait. First of all, when you have a civil litigation case against somebody, not a criminal case, 85 to 90% of all civil lit cases settle out of court. They all settle. They settle. The reality is, and it's know who wins these cases? It's not who's in the right or wrong. It's who's got the most money to outlast the other person. Now, here's my point I'm making. When you hire Quinn Emanuel, you're specifically hiring. In fact, Jay-Z hired them when he was being sued for that grape thing. When they got him off the hook. When you hire Quinn Emanuel law firm, you are hiring them because you want to go to trial. They win 90% of their fucking trials. I've worked for them. You know who Quinn Emanuel is, don't you, Imperius? What's their reputation?
Yeah, well, it's just like O'Melvin and Myers or any of those. Yeah, it's a top firm. Yeah. What I'm saying is, but what you're describing, though, Spicoli, is simply as I put it. The relationship between men and women at the basis of it is a relationship of prostitution. This is the
I've always
discussion.
said it's transactional, of course.
Exactly.
And you know what? Here's another point I make. A lot of you guys put shade on dudes that pay for sex and shit. In reality, every dude pays for sex. I mean, there's not a guy. Wait, you know what? Probably 30% of the women I've been with were hookers. Okay, when I was in Amsterdam or whatever. Here's my point. Let me make a point.
Okay.
It was cheaper
Tie
for
it
me
back
to
into
pay.
mental health.
Wait, it was cheaper for me to pay $150 to get laid than it was to take a chick out to dinner for $150 and possibly not get laid or
I
prick
think
teeth.
the lesson here for men's mental health is two things. One, the more that you try to go after women, the more you won't get them.
Yes.
And two, if you show that you need to not focus on women, because if you focus on women, you are by nature focusing on something other than your goal, not going to achieve the very thing that women are attracted
Can
to.
I make a few more points? Let me make a few more points. Okay, first of all, you know how a lot of these manosphere guys always say, they use these two lines. They're always worried about, like, what do women want? What do women care about? What do women expect from men? You know what? I don't give a fuck. I care what I care about. I want what I want. And then these guys come up with this, well, if you're going to bang a chick, she's got to have burning desire for you. You know what? I don't give a shit if she got burning desire for me or not. I care if I got burning desire for her, and I can take any chick, and once I insert my big Jewish penis inside of her, she's going to get burning desire right away when she got multiple orgasms and squirts. So I can give any chick multiple orgasms and she'll have burning desire. Wait, do I care if she's got burning desire to fuck my ass? No, I care if I've got burning desire. I care, guys, another thing, there's a guy named Terry Joe Jr., he's a Canadian Chad. I've been watching him for like 4 years. He's got 140,000 subs. I started when he was 26,000. This dude's a Canadian Chad. He could get laid anytime he wants. He's looking for a wife, but he can't even find a decent wife. And here's what he says. He says, guys, if you're going out there and getting one-itis and just trying to get, attached to one girl and fall in love with her, like Jeremy is falling in love with Grace and all this bullshit, or these guys fall in love with Lo, you're setting yourself to get fucking hurt. Guys, in other words, these women, look, here's how these women typically operate now, and they never did this in the past. Since they've got the cheating apps and shit, here's typically what a woman is doing. I'm going to explain to you. A lot of women are in the talking stage with a lot. Wait, let me just finish this real quick. I got to go. A lot of women, let me just finish. It's important. A lot of women are in the talking stages with guys. And what happens is, they're texting like on either they meet guys in real life or guys DM them on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, it could be anything, right? So what happens is they've got like 20 orbiters, and a lot of these women would rather have 20 orbiters that they're not having sex with, that are either simping or not even sending them money, but just building their egos up, than actually one dude they're fucking. And I'm going to make a point, guys, listen very closely when I close out. If you meet a woman and you've taken her on a date more than 3 times, okay, or you've communicated with her, let's say for 2 or 3 weeks, and you're ready to go out with her, if you don't get any action, like a kissing or some fingering or a fuck eventually, here's my theory. Listen up closely. Wait, listen up. Listen. Let me wrap it up. Guys, if she's not fucking you, 90% chance she's fucking some other dude. I swear to you, either that or she's a lesbian or she's non-sexual. Either way. But guys, listen up. If you've taken a chick out more than 3 times and you haven't gotten any physical action, or you've communicated with her for 3-4 weeks by telephone and you take her out, there's no connection physically, I guarantee you she's using you for your attention, a foodie date, and then she's fucking a Chad or Tyrone. I fucking 90%, I would swear my life on it. Universal and Imperious, do you agree with me? If these women are not fucking us, they're fucking another dude. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong?
There's an old saying, a woman's never single.
Exactly. Thank you. And you know what? I'm going to make another point. Wait, here's another point real quick before I leave. A woman who's a 5, or even my niece who's 300 pounds, can actually get laid. Wait, any woman, even a 250-pound woman, can go into a bar and meet a dude, and within 5 minutes, you know, take the dude home and bang him. But even a dude who's a Chad doesn't have, a guy who's a 10 model has more trouble getting laid than an average-looking chick. That's just reality. Seriously, he's got to work harder than a fat chick.
The only men that have that have the same ability of a woman is like a movie star or a high-end athlete. And that's
the top 5%. The top 5%.
No, not even the top 5%. No. Specifically actors and athletes. And that's just because
and politicians. And politicians who have power.
Not even politicians. Because it's just because women look at social capital.
Correct.
As an attractor.
No, but they like power too. Wait, you're telling me if you're not the vice, if you're the vice president, wait, you're telling me if you're not a senator, you're not going to get hot pussy? Bullshit.
Not like an athlete, no. Do you see who like do these politicians end up fucking when they're cheating on someone? No, dude, they're not banging like models, dude.
No, let me make a point. You know who Cash Patel is, right?
Dude,
wait, hold on.
Shut the fuck up. You've talked to as much as 100 people in 5 minutes. It shows you're a fucking troll and you don't talk to people in real life.
I was going to let Cody say his last words as he rounds up.
Let me make my last words.
Because you kind of landed your plane. We're all exiting now. Go ahead.
Wait, 2 things. Okay. 2 things. Cash Patel. He's like 45. He's the director of the FBI. He's of Indian descent. This dude is 44, 45. He's been dating for 3-4 years some hot 28, 27-year-old or 26-year-old. So he was in his he's like almost 20 years older than this broad. She's a hot brunette. So, and he's a short dude anyway. If he wasn't a famous lawyer, FBI, head of FBI, she'd have, if this guy was a gardener, she wouldn't be looking at this motherfucker. Okay, that's number 1. And then, you know, this Carol Levitt, Trump's press secretary, she's 27. She's married to some dude for 3 years who's like 58 years old, man. This 27-year-old press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, had a baby and married a dude who's like 57 or 58. And he's a millionaire real estate dude.
Dude, Antonio Brown is going for the last week around on Twitter, tweeting and memeing about how he fucked Gavin Newsom's wife before she married him. Stop.
Well,
dude.
You know, but Gavin Newsom's wife, that Gavin Newsom was married to Kimberly Gargoyle, the one that was married to Trump's son. Or
I'm talking about his wife now.
Okay, his wife now. Well, they're all hoes. Wait, look, guys.
But it's because they go for athletes. For athletes, because of physical biology, women want the most physically dynamic and powerful.
Okay, let me ask one final question to Imperious.
This is literally your final question. I'm going to drop you. Go for it.
One final question. Imperious. Okay, Lauren Sanchez, who basically is going to marry the wealthiest man in the world, or the second wealthiest, Jeff Bezos, okay? Do you think she has burning desire for him versus more burning desire for a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt? Who do you think she's really got more burning desire for?
She was already with them. She was with them when she was in her 20s.
Yeah, exactly.
She's 50 and she's with this dude.
She's cycling
because
out.
she can't go back to a freaking actor. An actor won't deal with that. He's on set every day with beautiful models and other actresses. Leonardo DiCaprio is dating. It dumps every woman at 25. They know they're going to be dumped, and they still go for it. Eric Swalwell.
No, but you know what? Listen, hold up. Everybody criticizes him, but you know what? I applaud him for dumping them by 25 instead of 30. You know why? He gives them enough time to go find some other simp to marry, and have a kid with, right? In other words, if you dumped him at 35, that wouldn't be fair. So I would do the same thing. Dump him by 25, 26. So he respects these women enough. So he dumps him at 25. He gets him at 20, 21, dumps him at 25. And then he gives him 5 or 10 years to find a dude to get married. And you know what? Wait, guys, if you were Leonardo DiCaprio, you'd be doing the same exact fucking thing. You think of, wait, you know what? And you know why these women will say, well, we just want to manipulate these young women, or we just like young, hot bodies. That's true, but not the manipulation part. The reality is an old broad, even if she's really attractive, the more she's ran through, the more she's traumatized, the more she's just old, you know. These old broads, even if they're over 50 and they're attractive, like some of them, like Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, or this Christine Noom, you know, who's had facial surgery. I'm telling you, there's some attractive older women. Pam Bondi, she's like 58. Look at her. She's the Attorney General. Any one of us would bang her. But the fact is, a lot of these women over 50, here's my theory. If a woman's never been married, if she's over 50 plus, she's
your last
50.
point, and I'm kicking you off.
Can I wrap it up here? Wait, one last wrap up. Guys, this is
You said that 5 times. Shut the hell up.
No.
You've
Please,
been talking
I'm
for
leaving.
an hour. Be quiet, Spicoli. Fuck.
Wait, let me wrap it up with this.
Yeah, he's gonna roll.
Let me wrap it up, please, Universal. This is important. This is how you figure body counts with women. If a woman is 20 to 30, you must figure her body count is at least 20 plus men. 30 to 40 age, her body count is 30 plus men. 40 to 50, it's 40 plus men, if she's never been married. And 50 to 60 is 50 plus men. 60 to so if a woman's 50 or 55, you've got to figure she's had 50 separate penises inside her vajayjay. I mean, isn't that a good rule? Universal, you think that's a good rule of thumb to figure go by?
I think a better rule of thumb is to ask her what her body count is, and whatever she tells you, multiply it by 3.
Exactly. That's the old way we used to do it.
No, multiply by 10. Nowadays, multiply by 10. Anyway, thanks for having me on.
Nowadays, probably by 10. Yeah, because by 18, they've had 20.
18, they're already at 20 bodies. Easy.
One last thing. I've just opened up a fortune cookie, and it says,
Lord.
may Imperious insert his penis in a vagina.
Nope. Bye, Spicoli. It was nice having you here for the time. I can't do that. Lord have mercy. All right. We did take a detour on this journey, on this conversation. Spicoli is the most toxic person on YouTube right now. But you know, I'm trying to do more different types of panels, and he maintained a little bit the second time around. But Gary, welcome to the panel. Any thoughts on men and mental health that you would like to share, sir?
I mainly came up here to tell Spicoli to shut the fuck up. I was just gonna remain in the chat most of the time. Hello, Imperious.
It's like he must
Hello,
have
Lionel.
taken some coke. He must have taken some coke before.
That's not. That's how he is on every panel.
I mean, I remember he talks a lot, but Jesus, I mean, I talk a lot, and he was. Jesus Christ.
I mainly came up here to support Universal. I was gonna remain in the chat most of the time, but he wouldn't shut the hell up. I got one thing to say. I love how we decided to finally do a stream solely dedicated to mental health, and we have 2 of the most mentally deranged motherfuckers on YouTube on your panel.
Hey,
I'm gonna go back to the chat. Salute to Lionel. Salute to Imperious. Salute to
Crazy
you,
people
sir.
don't know they're crazy. I know I'm crazy.
Well, that's a start. Admitting when you're wrong is a start.
Oh, appreciate it.
If
Man.
I'm
Appreciate
crazy, what is EAE? I mean, is he like Pinhead or a
He's disabled according to Speak.
Exactly.
He's got some. I mean, man. I mean, I love EAE. Don't get me wrong. He's a good
Oh my
dude, but
God.
man, he is. Do you think like Lo ever just gets like creeped out thinking about like what he would do to her or anything? See, that's the thing. I always
No.
wonder. You know,
I
you
don't
think
think
she
she
enjoys it? She rubs it out to it, probably. In general, though, you know, I've always wondered as a woman, like, how must that feel? Like having some like monstrously large thing like want to just grab you and do what it wants. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's scary, dude. No wonder they're all freaked out all the time, dude. Could you imagine like someone like Spicoli or EAE just wanting like, well, John, see, the thing is, I am normal, John. But the problem is he sets me off because I don't like censorship, and I don't like people quieting people, and I don't like people listening to girls on like what a standard should be and what shouldn't it. Like, remember, I took it personal, John, that at any moment in time, your co-host thought that I was somehow like employed by you guys and not doing it for the fun of it. That was the insult, John. I don't care that you say whatever or ban me. Just don't ever think that someone was employed. I was employed to somebody. Anyways. Oh God, men's mental health. Jesus, she doesn't know. I mean, she's autistic. She's got a lot of mental health.
Yeah, no, she's here to support. It's all good.
Well,
All right.
hold on. My question is this. Hold on.
I did have a
Here's
question, but ask your question, and I have a question.
Would it not be hypocritical if you did not ban her? Because if someone's going to go around and ban someone, why should they be able to go on other panels if they're banning people?
I will tell you
Isn't
this.
it to good
I
for
will
the goose is
never
good for the
ban
gander?
low. It may be a standard. She's not gonna ever
No,
be
I'm
banned
just
over
saying,
here.
but the hypocrisy is there. I mean, she was going. I mean, my biggest thing with Lo, I mean, I genuinely don't give a shit usually what she says. But when she talks about morality or Christianity, I can't allow that to go on. You can't listen to somebody who's pierced their tits and clit, and then go around and think like I'm going to listen on the morality of that person who has no church structure, no epistemological structure of just readings. Like I could go and read the 4 pillars of Islam in the Quran and think I know everything, and I won't know shit about the practice of Islam. Like you need the guidance of tradition and the church and the structure around it. He reads a passage, but how do you know what the hell that passage means if you don't refer to how the authors meant it or what they were talking about?
Sure, she's on her journey. I'm not here to judge her. We're going to talk
I'm not
about men's
judging. I'm
mental
just saying I don't like when some but the thing is, but look, when you're a catechumen in the Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church, you understand that you are at the bottom and you're there to learn and listen. You're not expounding ideas or what you think is right or wrong. You're there to be taught. She's on a journey of telling people because she believes she's correct when she has no knowledge. And what that is pride, and what that is hubris. A young girl has no idea. When I was her age, 20 years old, my parents used to tell me, shut the F up. You haven't lived the life yet. You don't know. My dad used to tell me, you don't know your thumb from your asshole.
It's a different time. But I'm going to pause you there because this show is not about Lo. I know she gets a lot of attention. This show is about men and men's mental health.
No, I just wanted to, I get so
exactly.
much shit talked about me without being able to respond to anything.
It's all good. We do have another panelist. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the stage. New friend of the show, hopefully Urban from the Urban Lounge podcast. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Hey, salute, Universe. Appreciate you inviting me up on Lionel Imperial. Salute, and salute to everyone in the chat.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, happy Men's Mental Health Month, by the way.
Yeah. Salute. Yes. Welcome.
Well, I just want to let y'all know that men's mental health is under attack. It is absolutely under attack. It's been under attack for almost decades right now. It's important for us to understand the reason why. But we could blame it on women. Of course, we could do that. We could blame it on modern day women. Of course, we could do that as well too. We have a conversation about that. But when it boils down to it, men's mental health is under attack is because of us as brothers, us as men. We're not in the place where we need to be at as men. We had lost ourselves. Our forefathers did something to where we lost connection to how the way we should be as men in this society, in this culture. Now we're just I don't know. Now we're just weaker men, so we're a weaker version of our forefathers.
What we are is singular wolves out of a pack. Have you ever seen a wolf out of a pack?
Now check this out, Imperials. There's actually nothing wrong with being a single wolf out of the pack because they call that a sigma. Okay. But even the sigma understands how to lead the pack. But somewhere along the lines, we lost connection with each other. We lost connection as being men, period. We lost connection with our economic sovereignty. We lost connection with us being philosophical or being educated. And we lost connection with each other, thus physically taking care of each other. as of right now, not only black men, but men in period, we unaliving ourselves due to mental health. We also unaliving ourselves because we're not healthy how the way that we need to be healthy, what women are now outliving us. Correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, the issue is this, and this is the hypothesis that sociologists, if you step back and even like, and you've heard Dawkins say this, you say, we have lost the fundamental Christian ideology of the foundation of what we are. Men were not born to just do shit, have sex, live in. Men were born to create the kingdom of heaven on earth. They were given a goal, a monstrous goal, and an idea of what the world should be, an overall unifying vision. But the problem is now we've lost our way. We've lost the fundamental cornerstone of what makes us us. We have, because in the end, when you are tied to temporal things, money, the world, land, ideas, people, things that you can touch and grab, okay? You will always lose because those are then things that you are going to try to hold on to. You are going to try to be selfish with, and you're not going to be able to do the sacrifice necessary to actually achieve the happiness that you want. As I've gotten more and more money in my life, I feel much happier giving things to people than I do buying things. I don't enjoy buying things. I can buy what I want. I can go where I want. I like giving things to people. And that's the fundamental reality is what people have lost. And I had to learn that as I think, again, I was a dumb kid at one time too. I'm nothing special. But I'm saying is I think people forget there are more than just this. And again, it's society pushing this. And what it really is the top 2 to 3% of society using biological necessities against the population. I don't blame women for how they are because men control power. And as long as men control power, it is men's responsibility, and how the world is men's fault. We have men, there's nothing a woman can do. How can women force anything? They can't. Men could walk around and rip the spines out of women. Literally.
Now, real quick, I got to cut you off on women can manipulate us into doing things that we naturally wouldn't do. Would you agree to that?
Well, yes. Men evolved to manipulate nature. Women evolved to manipulate men. That is why no matter what you say or do, no matter what society says or does, no matter what bullshit women say or do, they themselves judge their value by their looks because they know that's their power and that is their value, whether they like to talk about it or they don't. It is just like men's value is the effect of being able to attain resources. Essentially, what a man's value is not looks. It's the ability to attain resources. But what has happened is that men have created a society where 90% of men are essentially extinct. They're no longer needed because we've artificially elevated women to where naturally women can only mate with somebody who they feel is superior to them. That's just the biological reality. Women mate even or up. That is just the reality. So you've artificially You've artificially lifted women to the top, all women, to the top 5% of men. So the top 5% of men get every woman naturally. It's just the way and so what they've done is they've used technology, the tech nerds, the tech bros, and the rich people. I mean, I could be one, I guess. I'm not even that rich, but people have manipulated society to manipulate women's biology to exclude 90% of men to squeeze more work out of men because again all you hear from that is just make more money, work harder, do that. So in essence, pay more taxes to the very people that are keeping it so that women don't see you as existing.
So Lionel had asked a question earlier in the chat. He was addressing me about the mental health field, and I was explaining to Lionel that yes, just about 90% of the mental health field is dominated by women, but it's due to by design. Now, what's interesting is that when we was having this conversation, I was letting Lionel know that in reality, these mental health fields, like going through, learning about the mental health, the studies, the discipline behind it, a lot of it is taught around feminism ideology. It's tied around feminism ideology. It's tied around fifth wave feminism ideology as well too. So therefore, when a man go and seek therapy, right, 9 times out of 10, he's going to seek therapy with a woman more than a man. And so here's a woman who's already emotional, trying to connect with a man and trying to understand the nature of a man, which she can't. It's impossible for her to understand that. So what she do, she go through the textbooks that been programmed through our culture, through the fifth way of feminism, right? Where it literally low-key emasculate us as men, it lower our nature. So therefore, let's imagine this. Let's imagine a man going through mental health, he going through therapy, he end up acquiring this information from this woman who's supposed to be safe for him, a safe space for him to go and talk to. She ended up low-key degrading him. Now he's going back into society thinking that he's a better man. But in reality, he's not a better man. In reality, he's a lower version than himself. In reality, he's accepting the fact that it's okay for a woman to be dominant over him. He's accepting that it's okay for a woman to go out and earn more than him. He's accepting the fact that it's okay for a woman to go out and seek the, as y'all said, the 1 to 5% of top earners versus being settled for the normal average Joe. Would y'all agree to that?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's multiple things. I think one, we got to remember that psychology is not a science. It is a practice. It is not a science.
Yes, at this point, correct.
It's not replicable. Psychiatry is a science because it is the study of brain chemistry. And you can alter brain. We know there's studies, there's replicability, there's, things like that. But psychology, the effect of, cognitive behavioral therapy and all these kind of techniques, that is all just theory. That's all just guessing. And it's like, okay, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We don't know that. And so again, that is still a paradigm that people are just assume that's the kind of quote therapy men need. Sometimes what men need is hard ass work, to put their ass to work and get focused on something and build something important and push themselves to a limit to focus only on that, and the rest of the world disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll dive into work and stuff, and I'll forget the whole world disappears.
Let me ask a question about that, because you bring up a really good point. This is something that locally I got in trouble for a couple years ago because I took a shot at nonprofits who do mentoring work, and people are pissed. And I said, mentoring doesn't work. We have over 30 years of mentoring programs, and it's not producing the results that we think, but we pump millions of dollars into social service and nonprofits to do mentoring. Why aren't we seeing better results? And what I did, I criticized, but I offered a different strategy. And I said, it'd be better if we had apprenticeships where we are showing young boys how to do things.
Apprenticeships instead of college. Or accreditation.
I mean, and we can take it that far too. I'm okay with that. What do you all think about that?
That was like that way for most of human history. Remember, our presidents, there was no bar association or medical association.
I do have additional thought on mentorship too, because I didn't want to diss it 100%. I have a thought of when it does work, but I would like your thoughts. What are your thoughts on mentorship versus apprenticeships? Lionel, feel free to hop in. Urban, feel free to hop in and whenever.
So currently, right now, our nation have apprenticeship programs. They basically call trades, okay, where you go out and learn how to be a plumber or havoc worker, wherever the case may be. But the thing about it is, when you deal with mental health, a lot of the modern day women talk down on the apprenticeship program. They talk down on it, saying that this is not a substantial amount of income. Remember the situation with Aaron the plumber, right? Where women literally talk down.
Williams.
Yeah, exactly. They literally talk down on him because he was a plumber, thinking that he don't earn 6 figures for being a plumber. So these programs in existence right now, but also I want y'all to consider this too. Due to the situation that's happening with our nation right now, a lot of the unions that help finance these trades are under attack as well too. They're under attack financially. The reason why they're under attack financially is, once again, what I was telling y'all earlier about this whole fifth wave feminism movement. Okay. where the feminism want men to be emasculated to the lowest level possible, where they want these men to be the way that they want them to be versus how the way men need to be. Now, for us, the mentorship program, I agree with you, Universal, and I agree that a lot of mentorship programs do fail, but the reason why they fail is because of this. A lot of men that go out there and try to mentor boys, guess who they're mentoring? They're mentoring boys who are part of single parent households.
Yep, that's part of it. Yep.
And second reason is this: instead of these dudes staying focused and doing the mentorship, let's call it for what it is. These dudes sit up here and flirt with these single women, and next thing you know, they're not going to caught up with them, and that's why it fails. So let's be real. Let's keep it real. Third thing too is that same scenario. They end up getting with these single moms, right? Let's say that the single mom has a daughter. These dudes end up doing something to their daughters. So we can't throw that out of the conversation either, where they literally do something to the daughters, molest the daughters, and things like that. So
95% of sexual assault victims is from the families.
That's true. Let me tell you guys a quick story about a client I had. Because you just brought up a thought. I'll never forget this. I had this. He was 12. He was in the 8th grade. He was 12 years old. No, he's a 7th grader. 12 years old, little black boy, brought into, I used to be a therapist for folks who don't know. I don't practice clinically anymore. Grandma brought him in, Brandon, I want you to help him. And a lot of anger, attachment issues, all that. So one of the things I suggested to grandma, he was a big 12-year-old. He looked like he probably was like 14, 15 in body. I said, you need to get him into football. It will really help him deal with some of his anger issues, give him some, issues around authority, etc. She did it, right? And so he got into football, and then they disappeared for like a month and a half, and then they came back to session. And I remember I asked him, I said, yo, what's up? I said, how's football going? He said, man, I hate football. I don't want to go back. And I said, why? He said, well, my mom started coming to practice in the games, and one of the coaches was trying to have sex with my mom. So I didn't want to play no more. And I was just like, fuck. And it just like crushed me because he associated, this coach's behavior with his mother and his mother's behavior with this is not a good thing for me to do. And it was like, those are the things that end up happening a lot especially in urban communities, because the sex is so rampant, where we lose opportunities, and especially for boys, they exit opportunities because of things that their parents end up doing.
Well, I mean, that doesn't just happen in urban community. I mean, you'd be surprised how many white women, dude, they bring guys. White women are brutal too, man. I'm telling you, they bring men over, still married, kids find them with other men and all kinds. Dude, and this is the thing. What I think the real problem is we as men need to understand that even how our paradigm of what we're talking about is in a paradigm that's been created and is not natural. And no, she would be up on panel right now. She just doesn't want to come up. She doesn't run for me. The issue is this. Men back in the day, okay, they understood and they accepted that the world was pain, suffering, hardship. Okay, they accepted it. Talk to your grandfathers. They didn't talk to their women about everything and open their soul to them. Okay, my grandfather, most of the time, by the time they were older, they didn't spend much time together. My grandfather was golfing with his friends. My grandmother was doing her things. That's what happens. It's like this whole Disney movie where men and women, like this whole Notebook, where men and women just spend the rest of their life together, like holding hands and just around each other. It's just this fantasy. If you look back at actual people, it was never like that. Like men had a purpose. Like back in the day, people understood that like a couple of their kids were probably going to die just from just the odds of disease, of everything. And they didn't sit there and go, I'm depressed. I need psychology to help me through that. Like, could you imagine if that was the shit that we would never be here? We're just extremely coddled.
Yeah, we definitely have a very fragile mental state. I talked about that to open the show. Like every little bit of adversity is a mental health crisis, and I don't believe in that, man. I think we've gotten way too soft. What do you guys think about John's question here? Who's attacking men's mental health? Any thoughts on this question? Is men's mental health under attack? And if so, who?
I mean, Go ahead, dude. You
Yes.
guys, I'll go last.
It's absolutely under attack, though.
Yeah, it's under attack. Absolutely. Through the fifth way, the feminism, through the modern day culture and everything. Yes, it is. The reason why it's not being mentioned because y'all know how we are as men. We like to keep things to ourselves. We don't like to express ourselves. Then when we do express ourselves, guess what? We're being called soft. We're being called weak. We're being called gay, and all these other negative connotations against us.
We were on a podcast a few weeks ago, me and Urban, and this dude was flipping out. And when he asked the question, I'm very open with it. And I'm telling him, yes, I was raped when I was 3 years old by an older man. And he said that was your fault. You got to be held accountable for it. Why didn't you do something about it? Lashed out at me.
Well, but that's because most men, unfortunately, it's just biologically, men see other men as biological competitors. So men, it's very, very hard for men to empathize with other men, biologically, unfortunately. Women do because they're a kind of a collective where they need female collective protection and social status because they need to stay in the group or they would be exiled. And women,
The problem is, I would argue women don't have empathy for situations like that either. Men that
women have less. No, women in general have less empathy than men do.
Yeah.
Like people forget. Like remember, women, they abort their kids, dude. How much empathy do they really have? Like men, bad guys, bad men. It's hard for them to think that they would get rid of their kid. Like it would be, when a man gets rid of their own kid, there's no kind of like, even other men are like, what the hell are you? Other women that abort other women are fine with it. They're like, go girl, you're empowered. You're great. Like people think that this is what I mean by the Disney thing, where women are just this innate, soft, like motherly, nice. They're not like that, dude. And you're seeing that now. Women cuss more than men. They act like dudes. They don't take care of themselves. They're mean. They're in bad moods all the time. They're not. Women are not these happy creatures. And when I listen to women, I mean, I try to listen to them. I mean, 99% of what they say is bullshit. But if you can extract some truth, when they say, for example, women don't feel they can be that feminine anymore, so that is the truth right there. But that is because it's artificially been inflated by what they feel they can be feminine with. See, like I said, they have been programmed that. What do women say is the number one reason they don't have kids anymore? Because they'll say the kid, it's cost too much. The kid will be too expensive. They won't have a better life than I will.
Yeah.
Okay. So women have been convinced that you need to literally make $1 million a year. That kid's gonna not survive. You won't survive. It'll all die. And that's what they literally, because it's tapped into the biological instinct that while they're pregnant, they nurse and they vegetate. They don't do anything.
Hey, Perry, let me interject real quick. I'm kind of challenging on that, right? So if that theory is true about the cost of living of children, then why are modern women easily procreated with these pookies and ray-rays?
Well, because you've artificially given them all that money by making social services.
By making social services.
Well, you have.
I got you on there.
You've created the government, which is the entire form. Like, you got to look at 70% of the government. I think it's 60%. 60% of government expenditures is for social welfare programs, for entitlements.
Yeah. What's interesting about that, though?
80% of those entitlements go straight to women.
And you know what's funny? It's on the front end and the back end, because who works those jobs? Women.
Women.
Yeah. See,
That's
fascinating.
Why do you think when Trump's cutting all the jobs, who are the ones protesting? Women.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all these jobs that are getting cut are dude, this is what I'm saying. They've been given money so that they can exclude most men from sexual reproduction, which will then cause more men to have to work harder, giving more resources to the top men. Because all men can do to try to attract women is get more, try to attain more research, try to work harder, work harder. Men won't grape women. So the only thing they can do is therefore try harder, try harder, try harder, which is just feeding into the system that gives more the men at the top more and more money to give to women to program women to exclude more and more men.
Hmm. So Imperius, hey, I believe that this is a good time to mention this in this conversation. I believe that the 70s and 80 men back in that generation have a huge push on this mental health thing, meaning that they are the one who caused this modern generation of men to be in the condition that they're in right now. Now, do you agree with that? Do you agree with the 70 and 80 men? And also Universal and Lionel, I want to get y'all input on this as well too. Do you believe that the 70s and 80 generation of men that's pushing this whole ideology about it's okay for you to simp for a woman, it's okay for you to just give a woman what they want? Well, what's that happy wife, happy life type of scenario?
They were saying.
Oh yeah, that's the original simp language. Like that's from men from old times. I mean, you hear that men in the
Yeah.
50s and 60s. I was happy wife, happy look. It's like, dude, like you should not like you should. I mean, I get women are gonna nag a little bit here and there. Of course, that's just what they are. But to think that women like back in the day were just like totally insulting their men in their house all the time and yelling at them and arguing, that was not happening back in the day. That is a product of modern day where women are unhappy creatures because, again, women can only be happy when they don't work and just flounce and are with kids. Like you can't give women a responsibility to go to all that pressure, just the responsibility of having to get up early every day. Because remember, a woman will get up 3 hours before their job because, again, what is their value? Their looks. So they'll take 3 hours before their work every day to get up and get ready. So, and then 2 hours when they get home. So then they'll complain that, oh, I'm working 20 hours a day. This is all men's fault. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like women are only happy when they can be what they naturally are, sex objects. If they can flounce around and be attractive to men, that's when they're happy. That's why that's why, dude, everything they say when they say they like to work, they like their job, when they hit 32, 33, they all quit. Even at the top firms, like Spicoli was talking about, get women that are in junior, senior partner responsibilities in their mid 30s. They're gone. These firms can't keep these women.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Let me pause you for a second,
you
Imperius.
can't beat 10 billion years.
Hold on, Imperius. Lionel, what's your response to Urban's question?
I mean, that's when it definitely started, the 70s and 80s. I mean, especially if you look at the black community. I mean, that happy wife, happy life was going extremely hard. And you talk to these men from old, most of them didn't even like their wife. They just did whatever.
Bring up that chat that EA just said. That's an interesting point. I want to. I mean, I will
No,
insult.
no, hold on.
No,
Let
no,
me
no.
answer
Hold
the
on,
question.
hold on, hold on, no, hold on. I
Don't-
will insult Low really quick, but there's a serious
No,
point
no,
behind.
no.
But there's a serious point behind.
Make it classy if you're gonna.
I
say
will make
something.
it classy. I'm not gonna make it graphic. No, I'm saying if Low, I hope she does because she'll then realize the bullshit that men have to go through when they're dating women. The statistics and the surveys show the worst relationships are the ones between two women. The most unhealthy, the most toxic and abusive relationships, and the ones with the most domestic violence are between two women. Like, and that's why having a sister is so valuable, especially one that's like quote attractive or you know what I mean? Because they will tell you by hanging around the other hot girls the bullshit that women are. Women know that other women are complete bullshit because they themselves are bullshit. That's why women hate each other.
Hey, Imperius,
Go ahead.
Imperius, let us also consider Princella the Queenmaker. Remember, she was all talking about men and everything. Then once when she got in a relationship with a woman, what happened to her?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
She swung back.
Yeah, punch back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She actually had a red pill moment.
Yeah. Well, what happened to that woman? I forgot what her name was, but she like became a man for 6 months and ended up
Yeah, I remember that.
offing
herself. Yeah, she was a writer. Yeah, I know what you're talking
because
about.
you
Mhm.
a woman does. They're not built for that, and I don't blame them for that. Women should just be these pretty. I like the most attractive thing. This is why I find Lo unattractive, because she's not this
No,
flouncy, happy,
come
smiling
on,
thing.
Imperious,
No,
Imperious,
but hold on a
let's
second.
not go down
Okay,
that
okay,
road.
okay, I'm sorry.
Come on, bro.
What I'm saying is that's why I find like men don't find women attractive anymore and don't want to wipe them up, because the natural thing of what makes men happy is seeing a woman in her femininity, all smiling all the time, giggly, being that kind of neotenous girl, like a giggly little girl, all happy when a guy's, and she can be that. The problem is that women have fed into the idea, have been brainwashed that there is no amount of money that can make them like that anymore. They are completely at 100% on the time, always feeling that they're constantly can't be happy because all resources are going to be taken from them and nothing is enough to be feminine. Because everything is the new this, the new that. Look at you, how this person has billions of dollars, this person, and it's social media that's fit into that. It's not just men's mental health. Men's mental health are effed up, yes, but we're actually the more resilient ones. Like men actually, like us having this conversation right now shows that men are still semi okay. Women cannot even have, they don't even know that they themselves are being changed.
Let me ask a question real quick, because I'm gonna round us out here. I'm only gonna do 3 hours, so we got about 20 minutes left. And I would love to get some perspective from all three of you. I'm gonna start with Lionel. I'll go to Urban, then I'll go to you last, and Pierce, because you're just you're long-winded. What do you think men need to do to maintain a healthy masculine frame and their quote-unquote mental health moving forward? So I'll let you all pause on that. What do
They
we
need to stop. They need to stop listening to women first of all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just real talk. They need to literally stop listening to women. There's way too many women telling men how they should be men, but yet they don't understand men. They don't care about how men are feeling or what men want. They care more about breaking men down or trying to make them submissive to their quasi feminine charms. They need to stop listening to women first and foremost. That's the only way they're going to be able to literally be more consistent in finding their purpose. I mean, what's his name? Imperius was also right about the fact that they need to be building shit. They need to literally have purpose in what they want to do. And it has to go well beyond getting vagina.
Absolutely. Okay. Urban, what are your thoughts? What do men need to do?
I want to add a little bit of context to with Lionel about what he said. Men need to stop listening to women. I want to add a context that men need to stop trying to be acceptance to women as well too, because when men listen to the women, let's be honest, we listen to them because we want to be accepted by them. We want to be accepted by them. It's simply because we want their coochie. Let's keep it real. That's where all this simply comes from, correct?
Yeah.
So instead of that, just like what Lionel said, be about your purpose. I believe in the three pillars of masculinity. I believe that in order for a man to be successful in his mental health, he have to be successful economically. He have to be successful mentally, and he also have to be successful physically as well too. Economically, he have to have at least a sustainable income where he can take care of himself, and even if that's his purpose to want to get married or whatever the case might be, then hey, go ahead and do that. If that's your purpose. Mentally is by you always reading, studying, researching, just acquire as much knowledge as possible as a man, learn about some philosophical things to help you. Even if you want to incorporate spirituality into the mix, by all means do that, because it's going to help you balance you out as a man. Last part is the physical part, where unfortunately a lot of us we're not taking care of ourselves as men physically. You know what I'm saying? We are overeating, where we're eating too much excess on fat, all kind of stuff. We're not exercising the way that we need to exercise, and therefore that's where we end up having high blood pressure, calories out the roof, and guess what? We end up dying way sooner than what we need to do, even before we fulfill our purpose. Oh, you moved, bro?
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying absolutely. I agree with that. And Pierce, what are your thoughts?
Well, Here's a Bible verse that comes to mind. I am the true vine, you are the branches. Those who are in me and I in them will produce good fruit, for without me you can do nothing. And what that means is without Christ or God in your life as the pinpoint, as the pillar stone, as the goal, you will always feel empty. There will be something you will always strive for, no matter how many kids you have, family you have, people in your life, things you achieve, money you attain. Okay? Because in the end, we are not mortal beings. We are spiritual beings. And until we understand that and accept the universe for what it is, and we accept ourselves for what we are, and we accept our true purpose, we will always feel empty. We will be misguided. We will feel lost. And that is what human beings are experiencing right now. All those people rioting, all the people that are on medication, all the killing, the murder, these are lost people. People are lost. If you have a purpose and you understand the fundamental reality and the fundamental purpose of existence, this uncertainty, this anger, this fear that people have, fear, that's what people are. They're fearful. Okay? And when you're not afraid, those are the people that can live the happiest life. You must leave your fear. Fear is like a sack of bricks. Just set it down. Okay? That's number one. Number two, you've got to focus on what you can do with your hands, with your mind. Men work with things, not people. Okay? There's another verse. I mean, it's a metaphor, but after all, Lord, you are still our Father. You are the potter. We are the clay. We are the work of your hands. Okay, men need to build something. We need to do something. We need to mold and cultivate something greater than ourselves. Okay, those are the two things that we need to fundamentally focus on.
Amazing. Thank you. He's in the back. That's why I almost called you Spicoli. Thank you, Imperious. John Galt, aka that nigga John Galt. Welcome to the panel, John. How are you?
Hey, it's a good panel at Universal. Man, I'm just amazed, man. And maybe it's just me, but it seems like men talk too much about women. I don't know. This shit never comes up in my life.
Exactly. Women are an afterthought. They are women are like a hamburger. If I want one, I'll go obtain one. I'll go get one.
Yeah, it just seems to be a little bit too complicated. People are making things too complicated. I don't think women sit around talking about men like this. Are there women panels talking about men like this?
Not
oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely it is.
Absolutely.
It is. I've been there.
How do they talk about it on those panels? How do they talk about
men? But the difference is women categorize men into two things. One of two things. Either if you, even if they marry you, if you're the father, one thing, you're either a bitch or a dick. There is no, you are either they're going to make fun of you with their friends or they're going to complain because you're doing this to them. That is it. So I always side with being the dick. I'm never going to be a bitch. So because I don't care, if you've heard, like I said, I have been in the room. If you've been in sorority houses, if you've lived in them, if you've been around a lot of even older women when they talk and they're in their groups and you listen and stuff like that. I remember my mom with her friends when I was a little kid running around the house and stuff. Women are always going to talk bad about men. You are either going to be a dick because you didn't do anything, didn't do exactly what they wanted you to do, or you're going to be a bitch because they think they control you.
Interesting. Let me ask John the question. John, I don't know if you heard the question that I asked to round out the show. I'm going to be closing out here in about 15 minutes. What do you think men need moving forward as far as to maintain their mental health or just be, stable or sustainable? What do you think men need moving forward?
I didn't know men had a problem with mental health, I guess.
Well, newsflash. Niggas are struggling, John. Niggas are struggling.
Oh man, I guess if you're struggling, man, you got to figure out why you're struggling, and it's probably internal. So you're gonna have to start there. But trying to solve women's shit while you got your own problems, I don't see how that's going to work out.
Understood. Final words, final thoughts from anybody. It is Men's Mental Health Month. Earlier today we talked about when people do talk about men's mental health, it's usually women are brought into it, especially when we talk about black men. Black women are always brought into it. Or they'll have some very effeminate men talking about men's mental health, but you don't really see a wider perspective of how we deal with our issues, or we work through things, we move through life, etc. Any final thoughts from you, gentlemen? We'll start with you, Urban. We'll go to Lionel and Pierce, and then we'll end with John.
Once again, salute Universal, salute to everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all inviting me up. Yes, it is Men's Mental Health Month. On my channel, I do take the month out to acknowledge men's mental health and give the problems behind mental health, and also give solutions behind it as well too. There are many men out there right now that are literally struggling with mental health. They're struggling with, acceptance and social norms of society. They're struggling with, different other things as well too. So it's important for us to acknowledge that mental health does exist and allow them to have that space to where they could just express themselves and they can want to move forward as men. So that's all I got.
Perfect. Appreciate you. You want to shout out your channel, by the way?
Yes, on Urban Lounge Podcast. Come check me out.
And if you're doing a show Sunday, like I said, I'm gonna try to swing by. It's Father's Day. I don't know if you're doing a show or not, but if so, I'll definitely try to swing by and hop up for sure. So perfect. Lionel, final thoughts from you, sir.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good show, man. Outside of a small hiccup, it was definitely a good show. I do want to say that, I've helped this little boy who went through some real hell, and I've listened to what people have told him, which sucks when you have 5 grown men rape a little boy, and then they all say that it's your fault, and then he gets passed around, and then he gets told it's his fault, and then they're basically like, damn, you need to just fix yourself. Like, it's just that simple. Dude has every right to feel alone in the world. No one gives a crap. And when my mom, she put out her
laughing my ass off. I'm sorry when I was described, dude. I'm not laughing at you, though, but the way you're just throwing that out there, dude, I'm sorry, man.
Oh, it just because I'm so used to it. I'm in the world. I'm just too used to it
Like
now.
the way you're just able to throw that out there is such a horrible thing. It's such like, oh my god, dude.
But because that's the thing. That's why I'm open with people. I let people know I've been assaulted at 3. I've been assaulted at 11. I was born from an 11-year-old girl who was assaulted. We've been in that world, and you gotta be open with it. You gotta be able to express it. You gotta be able to tell people, because or else when you bring stuff up, they're gonna be like, oh, you're depressed, or the past is holding you back. They're gonna give you every excuse in the book, basically telling you you're not doing the things to work on yourself, or trying to ignore the reality that it is. And the reality is, it's very harsh out there. I mean, a lot of you are blessed to not be part of that, but then there are a lot of boys and men who aren't that blessed, and they are absolutely in part of that. And a lot of these guys are being assaulted, but we like to throw it under the rug. We like to not talk about it. We like to just tell them, get over it. And that's, unfortunately, a cruel reality that we place on these guys. And that's what some of these guys do deal with. And it doesn't hurt to be nice, but a lot of people make it very difficult. So that's all I got to say on that.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, Lionel. Pierce, final words.
Well, we've gone full circle. It's been a little journey here. I enjoyed the adventure. First of all, I'd like to thank, cousin Skeeter, EAE.
And for being such a nerd and a perv. EAE reminds me, you know what I always think of EAE as? You ever seen God, what was that movie with Burt Reynolds, or not Burt Reynolds, Bruce Willis, Sam Jackson, Uma Thurman, what was that again? God, I can't remember my movies tonight. They had that dance or whatever in it. Well, Ving Rhames was getting pounded out by a white dude in the back of a
Pulp
shop
Fiction.
one. Yeah, there you go. And that I believe is EAE. He's in recovery. As I said, the guy's been pounded out so many times that shit, dude. I mean, we got to feel bad for him that the guy is going through so much. But like John said, I got to agree with him a little bit. A bunch of these people are a bunch of pussies. If I would have cried as much as this, my daddy would have told me I was a little bitch, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but what it is, we need to let people fail. I failed more times than I've succeeded in life. And, when you fail and you're allowed to fail, you learn from your failures and you become stronger and you become better. Diamonds are forged under pressure. And, men used to be able to understand pressure. Could you imagine men nowadays storming the beaches of Normandy or no? I don't think they could do it.
It'd be a weird storm. I'll tell you that right.
Well, my whole thing is, could you imagine
80-20 rule.
What about staying in the line formation and just shooting straight at each other? Like the Napoleonic Wars, we would just stand in straight lines and just see each other dying and see the bullets coming right at you and hitting you in the face. I don't. You know what I mean? That's Jesus.
Yeah.
What kind of courage? What kind of men? Like Jesus.
Yeah.
And like I said, like that's because they had a higher calling, a dedication to something greater than than this material world. So atheist pigs like EAE wouldn't understand that. his world is a wet hole, a mixed race wet hole.
Well,
But
he's trying. He's trying.
But yeah, he's trying. But I mean, what's sad is I mean, the thing is I as a men's mental health, and since Lo said she's a non-sexual, I'm gonna just give her.
You just couldn't end it without bringing her up, man. Go ahead.
No,
man.
I'm just before I'm just leaving here, but I could give her the autism, hotline, and we could start her on her mental health journey toward, actually becoming a human being and not some kind of sex bot. But we'll get to that one day. Gentlemen, men's, go buy your father something. I bought him a Breitling, so I think you guys should do something for your fathers. This, maybe let them punch you all in the face, because of all the bullshit we gave them as kids. I always think that's a good present. Have a good evening, gentlemen. And once again, EA's a sick, perverted pig who likes to, bang animals. But have a good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, peace out, Imperious, man. Thanks for coming by. John, final thoughts, sir.
Oh man, I heard the guy Lionel. He said something about him being abused. I'm like, man, I don't know. If, as a man, maybe you just have to swallow that shit and just, what I'm saying, just, just repress it. I don't know if you could take that to a woman and not have her look at you a certain way or use it against you some days in the future. So you just gotta be tough, I think, man, and just you got to roll with some shit, and that's probably something very unfortunate. You just gotta roll with.
Absolutely. You want to shout out your channel, John?
Oh, the Urban Landlord on YouTube.
Yeah, not put the link. The link was in the chat as well. Appreciate you, John. All right, I'm gonna drop you guys down. I have Spicoli in the back. Thanks for coming by, Urban, man. Appreciate you, Lionel. Appreciate you.
Like always, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to connecting with you a lot more.
Have a good one, man.
Yep. Peace out. All right, I have to bring up Spicoli individually because certain people trigger him. We'll see if he has any final thoughts. Final thoughts, Spicoli. Spicoli? You there, sir? All right. He spurred out, which is probably a good thing because I don't know what was coming. No, all puns intended on that for sure. Salute to everybody that swung by today. We had 21 ended up watching. A lot of new friends over here, a lot of new people. I am going to continue to stream and come back. I know I've been on a lot of other people's platforms, but I need to start rebuilding mine. I did get about 8 subscribers while we were live, so salute to all the new folks who subscribe. Please, if you like the conversation, share it with other people. There's more content to come. I'm going to share one of my videos before I close out as well. Let me shout out some folks in the chat. Napstar, Speak, King TL, EAE. Don't know why you trigger everybody, but you know, you're my guy. Goon5 Goon until the day we die for sure. Lionel, thanks for coming by. Double A, thanks for coming by and sharing questions and thoughts in the chat. Who did I miss? Garian, of course, thanks for swinging by. Char was here, the lovely Lolo, another person who triggers people for some strange reason. Thanks for coming by, Lo. Bean, of course. Bean is one of my favorite people in the chat. Salute. Lyric, thanks for coming by. It's been a long time. I hope you are well. And Quad, thanks for coming by as well. John Galt, Urban, and I don't think I missed anybody else. Those are the folks in the chat. Oh yeah, Patience. Didn't know Patience even knew I existed. Welcome. Salute to you. Look forward to having some conversations. Yeah, I think that might be it. If I missed you, I'll catch you next time. Appreciate everybody for coming by. Again, more, you know, hopefully constructive conversations. I do try to bring some content, not just the nonsense. We will shift and, you know, go into it from here and there, but that's not the only thing that we're bringing. All right. So here's a video. Again, this is some of my content brought to you through an AI as far as maintaining a masculine frame as we close out today's show.
Men today are lost, not because the world is harder, but because they have lost their frame. You see, your masculine frame is not about controlling others. It's not about ego. It's not about domination. A healthy masculine frame is about controlling yourself. At Finish First, we define masculine frame through options, vision, intuition, and fortitude. Options. A man without options is a man trapped. Options come from discipline, skill building, and self-respect. When you have options, you don't chase, you choose. Vision. You must see beyond today. Men with vision move with purpose. Without vision, you drift. With vision, you build. Intuition. The modern man must trust his gut. Not every battle requires force. Wisdom is knowing when to act and when to observe. Fortitude. Pain is unavoidable, but endurance separates men who finish from those who fall. You hold your frame because you've trained for the storm. In today's modern world, where distraction, softness, and victimhood pull at you daily, your masculine frame is your anchor. Weak frame, you react to everything. Strong frame, you choose your response. Finish First is not about being better than others. It's about mastering yourself so you can lead, protect, provide, and inspire without losing your soul. Men, you must build your frame, because without it, life will build one for you, and it won't be one you respect. This is a Universal Jones production. Join the movement. Finish First.
Universal!
Jones. So for those of you that aren't aware, Finish First is going to be my new effort of content directed directly at men in personal development. I've also written a book about it. The book will be coming out in July. Stay tuned. I'll be dropping more content from that book for all of you to get your lives together, share it with a man that you care about because we need it. Other than that, everybody take care of yourself. Happy Father's Day to those of you who have kids, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.